Megan Fox.
And Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
That was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going to the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumbs.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan.
Megan Fox.
Megan.
Megan.
Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's
You pissed off the wrong woman.
oh my God, I have been assaulted when Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan.
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 Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome back. I took the day off, the whole day, to like do chores and stuff, and I didn't cover court today. It feels weird, man. Feels weird. But some seriously crazy stuff went down, even though I thought it was going to be super boring. But we don't have time to go over that now because I have a full house here that we got to get introduced here, and so we're going to do that in just 1 second. I just want to make sure that you have clicked the like button. There is a poll on YouTube. I stole it from Jeff. I stole it from Legal Vices. You have 3 options. I slapped the like button like Judge Carroll slapped Hunter today, like Miss Cruel slaps small dogs, or like I want to slap Sally Smith. So far, it looks like Sally Smith is winning by a lot. You guys don't like her at all. Make sure you hit the like button. All right, here's the deal. Coming to the stream is a bunch of my friends, and I'm excited to have them in the order they appeared. Welcome, House of Fluxx. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I think we're about to light family court on fire tonight. That's what I think.
You know, it's been a difficult week. I sit while I'm at work and I listen and I just sit there and I want to yell so bad, but I'm sitting in my office and I can't yell and I'm just like this whole time.
Well, I can yell for you, and I have been yelling for you.
Yes, which I did try to watch it one time without you, and I'm like, nope, I need somebody yelling. I need somebody yelling at these people. Like, somebody needs to be yelling because I can't.
And speaking of yelling, Legal Vices, how are you?
Hi, what's up, everybody?
You know Legal Vices from his channel. I'm sure most of you are here because you're his fans. How you doing, Jeff?
Pretty darn good for
you doing
being
any sleep?
10 o'clock in the morning.
Doing any sleep moderating lately?
No.
No,
At least not that I know of.
Not that he knows of.
just on my channel,
I
perhaps.
don't know I did that either, but apparently I did. So,
And from Chicago, my good friend and fellow journalist who has really worked on this with me for a long time. I've been in it for 20 years. Michael Volpe, how long you been doing this, man? Family court.
Being family
exposure.
court
Yeah.
was the first one. So it's about a year, about 10 years. First story I did on family court, you can still find it on WND, World Net Daily, about Pennsylvania CPS taking kids without warrants. And that's what kicked it all off.
Yeah, that's how Mike and I met. We met a long time ago based on, similar interests in journalism and covering these family court corruption stories, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. And coming to the stage is Chandler Remmington. Chandler, how are you? Paralegal extraordinaire. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here, you guys.
All right, is everybody ready to have their parts handed out?
Yes.
So
hand me my parts, Megan.
Handle them with care. Be careful.
Biggest part.
Phrasing. What we need to do is so we found a transcript. Now Michael Volpe can actually tell you how hard is it, Mike, at least in my experience, it's been pretty hard to get a hold of family court or juvenile dependency court transcripts.
Juvenile dependency
Yeah.
is pretty hard. Family court, not necessarily. It's hit and miss when you're
Like
talking
divorce
about
is easy. But like I'm talking about DCF, CPS, dependency
very,
hearing.
very, very hard. Not completely impossible, but they generally consider that privacy of the child, so they just create a star chamber
Right.
and do whatever they want.
That's right. And tonight we actually have it. And this is thanks to the chat, by the way. I don't know why it's always at the bottom. This is thanks to the chat, by the way, that we have this. The chat sent me this. I just got an email with this attached. It said,
I
"Check
love
this
the
out."
chat. Chat
I
is
know.
awesome.
Chat comes through.
I know. Why is it not taking up the entire screen? That's weird.
I think.
All right. Do I have it set wrong?
No.
No.
If you just
Okay.
grab the bottom of the screen and make it longer.
Well, I was gonna say, or are you talking about the document or the actual window?
The like how it looks on the screen. Normally it's bigger than that, isn't it? Doesn't it
If
usually
you
take
go
up
to the corner and you press that expand button,
Nope, that's not it.
If you look up where the print button is,
the what
if you
button?
look up where the print button is, the two two, yeah, you just
Over
gotta
here.
Yeah, two to the left.
Far left.
Left.
Yeah.
No.
The
Far
one
left
that's
of
like
those little-
expanding out.
Oh.
There you go.
And then I'm big in it.
And now I have to
zoom.
it. I just didn't realize that the background was going to show through on StreamYard. Normally I feel like it takes up the whole screen, but maybe it doesn't. And okay, hold on. Why can't I make this bigger now? Shit! I guess I should have practiced this before we were live. Hold on here, folks.
You're on a MacBook or whatever. So I have no idea.
This didn't do that to me.
Have you guys seen the computer that Mrs. Fluxx is building for me, and it's almost finished? It's great. I'm gonna have a
No,
new
but that's
computer.
awesome.
Just,
Oh, congratulations.
All right.
it's got
All right,
9 fans and it's liquid cooled.
Here's
By the way,
what-
nice to meet you, Michael. I haven't met you before, I don't think.
Oh yeah, sorry, Chandler, you weren't here when I introduced him. Michael is an investigator, a journalist from Chicago, one of my good friends. We've covered a lot of court corruption stories together.
Awesome.
So it's fitting that he's here. And Mike, you're gonna love this, but I'm giving you the DCF lawyer's part. You're gonna be Mr. Silverstein.
Those are my favorite lawyers.
Yeah.
There's scumbag lawyers and DCF, like on the scumbag lawyer, they're especially scummy.
This is true.
It doesn't get any more scummy than the scumbag lawyer. There was a scumbag CPS lawyer from North Carolina that triggered the mistrial that I triggered.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Yeah, it was
No,
the,
it's because
the-
they don't
the-
like journalists in the courtroom or journalists talking about them and what they
Right.
do in these courtrooms. They try and keep it away from us. Haley, thanks for the super chat. Says I've been watching from Jafar and finally sending my first super chat. Thanks for the laughs, even with such a serious topic. Let's give it a whirl, Jeff. T-Rex Trucking and More. Thanks for the super chat. Says happy Halloween weekend, Megan in chat. Okay, so before we get started with this, I do want to do a small recap, and I thought the best way to do that is to just explain that we are reading a dependency court hearing from Maya Kowalski. This would be the last hearing in December before her mother committed self-harm, the worst kind. She self-deleted. And we have this transcript. We're going to take parts and we're going to read through it so you can hear how these things go in these closed courts. The reason why this family was in this courtroom was because of one person, Dr. Sally Smith. And Dr. Sally Smith is a child abuse doctor. She works at Johns Hopkins, or she did, Johns Hopkins All Children's. This is what she looks like. And Sally Smith is the reason why why many children have been taken away from their families and their families were accused of child abuse. That happened in Maya Kowalski's case. Her parents contend, and she contends, that she has a rare disease called CRPS, which is a pain disorder. DCF and Sally Smith, who worked for DCF, but also was like working at the hospital in collusion with DCF. She contends that she has a psychological disorder because her mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, was making her ill. I think the best way to go into this is to just play the proffered questions that happened on the stand yesterday by Mr. Anderson, who's the plaintiff's attorney, who finally got his chance to go to bat with this woman. I mean, he took a bat to her over and over again. And here's the thing. This did not happen in front of the jury. This was for appellate reasons only. And in front of the jury, she really kept it together. But when we got to the proffered part, it got ugly, and she dropped the facade that she was doing. So we're going to play a little bit of that.
Were you aware that during that 48 hours...
I think she's still in front of the jury. I got to get to the right part.
Right above the line there, please. And that right there. Now...
Here it is. It's right at the end. All right. This is just, it's not very long, but this is so important. This is the reason why the Kowalski family ended up in the dependency courtroom in the first place.
The objection, Mr. Anderson, you can re-ask the question, and we'll get to a break in just a couple of minutes. Mr. Anderson, within 5 minutes, we need to take a break.
Happy face.
True or false? You accessed Maya Kowalski's medical records on the 8th.
I did.
Prior to that, you did not contact Jack or Beata Kowalski. True or false?
Correct.
Is it not true that you often walk in after...
Mr. Anderson, if you're going to a different...
I am.
Then why don't we take the break now?
What, did Court TV screw this up? Yeah, they did. Hold on. We'll go to the other one. It was day 24. I know where it is. Again, professionals. Professionals, people. This is how professionals do it, I think. All right, hold on.
I like his nickname.
Oh, Jafar?
No, the fat Clark Kent.
Oh, fat Clark Kent.
Yeah,
I like him too.
Occupational therapy and perseverance.
All right, where is Sally? Here she is.
Sour
yes,
Sally.
Literature and discussions with physicians since then.
This is it, proffer. Here we go. God,
it's
this
unbelievable.
Who here has actually seen this? Jeff, did you see it? Fluxx, you saw it? Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
it's literally unbelievable.
It's literally unbelievable.
Little heated.
A little heated.
She just looks like such a pleasant person. Can you imagine her getting heated or something?
What did they not film
Was
the?
revised.
Here it is.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, do
Here
you
we
have
go.
anything in proffer?
Here we go. Do you have anything in proffer? Yeah. Been waiting 5 years for this, bitch.
Before, or let's say, right at the start of this, in the first part of October, you had a call with Dr. Kirkpatrick, did you not?
I did.
And Dr. Kirkpatrick explained to you that he had been treating Maya Kowalski for CRPS, correct?
He did.
And he told you that statistically speaking, CRPS is often mistaken for conversion or Munchausen by proxy, did he not?
I don't really remember exactly what his words were. I took a few notes from the conversation that I had with him, and I know that there was some general discussion along those lines.
And yet you did not put anything in your report about Dr. Kirkpatrick, did you?
Yes, I believe there's a whole section about his medical records.
Yeah, except for the fact that you did not tell anyone in that report that he had warned you off of going after the Kowalskis.
It's completely irrelevant for a child protection team medical evaluation, because that's the whole point of the evaluation and gathering all the records. The problem in these cases is that the treating physicians have not done that. And so the fact that he, who sent her to Mexico for the ketamine coma, told me not to investigate child abuse, it was completely irrelevant to me, because my job was to investigate child abuse. So if I had come away from my job saying, I was supposed to do this, but this doctor told me not to, so I'm not doing it, and there's no evidence of anything here, I would not have been doing my job even remotely near a standard of care.
Do you not understand the importance of putting both sides of the story in your report?
The both sides of the story is the responsibility of the various people who are going to present it to the court. My job as the medical director for the child protection team is to do what I need to do to assist the investigators and the detectives and the attorneys that are involved in the case as to whether there is evidence to support a diagnosis of whatever type of child abuse is being assessed. So it's not my responsibility to lay out some whole long argument about what it might be otherwise if I have extensive evidence to support that it's a type of child abuse.
Dr. Smith, you know there wasn't a single child psychologist or child psychiatrist that diagnosed what you were claiming. You're aware of that, right?
That's also irrelevant.
So you are the ultimate decider of medical issues which you have minimal or no training in.
I have extensive training.
Yes, but you're not.
It's a proffer. You can answer, Dr. Smith.
I have extensive training in evaluating child abuse and neglect. Medical child abuse is a child abuse pediatric diagnosis. There is a parallel track in psychiatry where there's a thing called factitious disorder imposed on another, which is assessing the perpetrator or the caretaker in that scenario.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So my computer's giving me the wheel of death. So I'll be right back, and you guys just hang in there. I'll be right back. It's my stupid computer. It'll be okay in a minute. I'll be right back.
I was going to say this woman reminds me a lot of the illustration of the witch from The Witches and Roald Dahl's The Witches. I don't know if I'm the only one.
She's got a god complex.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
100%.
My opinion's the only one that matters. I don't care if every other doctor said I'm wrong. I'm right. It's amazing.
Well, especially to have a
The
doctor.
doctor who treated her saying it's not Munchausen is irrelevant. And what she's saying, no one is saying you can't investigate, but to say that it's irrelevant that he said this, she wanted a certain conclusion.
Oh, yeah.
She absolutely did.
Well, the way she phrased it told me not to go after them says she was going after them.
Right.
I mean, it just
I
sounds to
doubt
me
a
like
doctor would say, don't go after them. That's just not what a doctor would say.
I mean, even when she's talking about what her job is, she's saying that, her job is to find child abuse. And for me, the way that sounds, it comes across as though, my job is to invent child abuse, whether it exists or not. My job is to, create a scenario for that. You should be able to rule something like that out. And in this case, it was very serious because you have this little girl who's going through the worst pain of her life. Mm-hmm. She's put in a very vulnerable situation. She has no access to her parents now because her parents are being accused of abuse, and she's suffering and struggling and all alone. That is the worst thing that you can do to a child who has just been thrust into a traumatic medical scenario that they have no control over. It's absolutely horrific. I'm just appalled.
I'm a really big fan of Homicide Hunter with Joe Kenda, and one of the things he always talked about is in any investigation, the facts lead you to the suspect and not the other way around.
Yeah.
You don't form a suspect and then draw the facts to bring it to the suspect. And that she's doing the exact opposite.
Yeah,
She's
it's so much easier to go that way, though.
Right. Well, that's one reason why someone like Joe Kenda, it's hard to be a really good homicide detective.
Someone mentioned confirmation bias. Genuinely, the CPS people or whatever they call it there, the child protective people, see abuse every day, all day.
Right.
And so you get to where everything is abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with the lawyers get every client said I didn't do it. And then you do get the one who's innocent, and you go, yeah, right. That's what the other 5,000 people I saw today said.
Right.
So
Right,
you
but
have that confirmation bias going in.
But the problem is there are so many serious cases of abuse that, the system is really poor. And there are lots of children who are abused all the time, who never get attention, who never get help, who never get support. And those resources could be spent on children who are actually in danger.
Right. They will ignore abuse as often as they will find abuse where none is there.
And invent it. Yes, that is very well said. Yeah, it's really, really horrifying to me.
Right. And for folks who don't know, Mike Hixenbaugh at NBC News has done several stories on child abuse pediatricians. I don't know if he found it with Munchausen, but how often they are wrong. And you can find his stories online everywhere. But
he does good work.
He went to several different states and showed how often these folks are wrong.
I don't understand how their training comes in, because I feel like you need to have kind of a default of, compassion for the parents, and you need to be able to see when the parents are trying to advocate for their child's best interests. Obviously, the parents loved their daughter. Obviously, they were trying to get her help. I don't understand how they could see it otherwise.
Not to mention, how come the doctors don't get held responsible? They keep saying dangerous levels of ketamine, deadly levels of ketamine. Well, who prescribed and administered them? Mm-hmm. Those people are the only ones who can get a hold of that amount of ketamine, the only ones who can prescribe that amount. So why don't they go after the doctors? You know why? Because they can't. Because CPS and DCF can't investigate doctors. They would have to call the police and open a police investigation, and the police would look at it and go, the fuck do you want us to do? This is a board certified physician treating a patient, and I have no evidence that this is a crime. That's what they would say. DCF only investigates this stuff because they can. All right, let's go back to it. And so we get to MGLaw is on his way. He just texted me.
Told me not to investigate child abuse. It was completely.
All right, we were a little ahead of here.
Of putting both sides of the story in your report.
The both sides of the story is the responsibility of the various people who are going to present it to the court. My job as the medical director for the child protection team is to do what I need to do to assist the investigators and the detectives and the attorneys that are involved in the case as to whether there is evidence to support a diagnosis of whatever type of child abuse is being assessed. So it's not my responsibility to lay out some whole long argument about what it might be otherwise if I have extensive evidence to support that it's a type of child abuse.
Dr. Smith, there wasn't a single child psychologist or child psychiatrist that diagnosed what you were claiming. You're aware of that, right?
That's also irrelevant.
Excuse me.
So you are the ultimate decider of medical issues which you have minimal or no training in?
I have extensive training.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you're not.
It's a proffer. You can answer, Dr. Smith.
I have extensive training in evaluating child abuse and neglect.
That's not the
Medical
question. That's
child
not what
abuse
you
is
said.
a child abuse pediatric diagnosis. There is a
She has extensive training in entrapment, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's what she's
But
talking
that's
about here.
the God complex. You are the ultimate decider.
Oh yeah. Oh wait,
That's
he
the
gets
God
to it. He tells her that. It's beautiful.
parallel track in psychiatry where there's a thing called factitious disorder imposed on another, which is assessing the perpetrator or the caretaker in that scenario. But I don't need a psychiatric degree to assess medical child abuse. I'm very well trained to evaluate medical child abuse based on my child abuse pediatrics
Well, apparently not.
experience and board certification.
Well, there's not a single child psychologist or psychiatrist that agreed with you. You do realize that, don't you?
No, I don't.
Well, name a child psychologist or psychiatrist that examined Maya Kowalski who agrees with you.
Well, that wasn't their job to write in the report whether there's medical child abuse. So that specific thing documented by, for example, Dr. Cabot or
Munchausen's
Dr.
psychological disorder.
I don't know. Honestly, I'd have to
in the
look back to
report.
see if they ever documented that as one of their diagnoses. But that's
Spoiler
not
alert,
their job.
there's not.
My job is to assess that, and if I
hide
present
it.
adequate
My job is to hide that
evidence
from the
to the
judge.
court can act on that. So, you know, the court has every ability to pull all these people in, including Dr. Kirkpatrick, including Dr. Hanna. I think they testified in the dependency action. And if the judge decides that there's serious question about whether I'm right, then, you know, the court makes that decision based on the evidence that they receive. That's not my job to litigate the whole thing and put out all of the potential possibilities in the case and say, I'm the child abuse pediatrician, but I don't really know.
No, it literally is her job to lay out all the facts in the case. And here's
Isn't
the thing.
it the medical? She's medically examining her. Isn't that the exact job? Is to lay out all the potential like issues
to
that
rule
this
out
medical
everything else
extremely
but child
relevant.
abuse. It's extremely relevant. Not to mention that in DCF's own training, and I know this because I watch Sean McMillan's depositions of these people constantly, like I watch them like it's soap opera. He always asks them about their training because he knows that they've been trained, that when they are trained to write reports for the court, they're trained with very specific language, and that language says the reports must be complete and honest without leaving out any information so the court can make a reasoned decision. And so the first thing he asked them is, you know what, you're under oath, right? You swore to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. And they say yes. And then he says, and do you know that that means we're not to leave out anything? Because leaving out things is a form of lying. And they say, then let's talk about your report and what you left out. Because that's fucking perjury is what that is. Jeff, I see you about to explode.
No, this is so much more frustrating the second time around.
It's
because
bad.
you know what, you hear it differently when you're doing other things and it's going on and it annoys you. Now it's just enraging when you're concentrating on it.
This
I mean,
is a
literally
very dangerous lady. This lady has
yeah.
an enormous amount of power, and she's got a God complex and arrogance.
And what she just said, it's not my place to diagnose this. I'm not supposed to do this. You know, I look for child abuse. I diagnose the child abuse. And then she does this after a doctor has explicitly told her, this is not child abuse. This is something that,
by the way,
could appear to mimic child abuse.
That doctor is also trained to spot Munchausen. You know, what she's saying is such nonsense. She acts like she's the only one who can figure out if something's Munchausen, as if we're supposed to believe that doctors who treat people who come in with all kinds of ailments have never heard of anyone who makes up an ailment. Do you know how ridiculous that is?
It's crazy. It's
You're
crazy.
the only one who has ever heard and knows when something's Munchausen. Every doctor knows about Munchausen and is looking for it.
I think the most significant problem here is that this is a woman, like you said, with an enormous amount of power. She's not thinking about the consequences of what if I'm wrong. You know, if this family is not actually engaged in any kind of abuse, and if their child is simply suffering from an ailment.
I would go even further and say, not that, you know, she even thinks about, what if I'm wrong? I don't even think she cares if, what if I'm wrong? I don't even think that's a thought in...
She's got a God complex.
The truth is not relevant here.
No, she doesn't think she's wrong, ever. She's got a God complex. That's
see her diagnosis next week on the next episode of Dr. Housewrecker.
God, there was child abuse here, because in this case, there clearly, in my opinion, was child abuse here.
Yeah. So you did not put in any of the conclusions or any of the data from Eagle's Wings and those therapists and psychologists that saw the Kowalskis, did you?
There was a licensed clinical social work intern who saw Maya and her family at Eagle's Wings. And I don't honestly know where that was in the pile of records when I was writing up my report. I kept writing part of the report, having to do other things, writing part of the report, having to do other things. And I inadvertently did not include that in my report.
Inadvertently?
Well, you did research it enough to realize that Rebecca Johnson had a master's degree and over 20 years of experience as a therapist at Eagle's Wings. Did you not?
Well, the question really, in terms of my part,
I'm
is
just
whether
asking if you knew that or not, ma'am.
I knew she I'd have to look and see exactly what her credentials were. I'd certainly, defer to you if you're reading her credentials off. But it's irrelevant unless she did the whole thing I did, looking at all these medical records and has expertise in medical child abuse, for her to be able to say one way or the other if there was child abuse or not.
Okay. Look, did anybody agree with your assessment that there was no CRPS?
Yes, I believe they did.
Who?
I believe that there were multiple people on the hospitalist team that didn't think she had it. And I believe that although there was probably some question about whether she might have some sort of amplified pain disorder, the pain management team didn't think she had CRPS.
She's giving me amplified pain in the ass.
We did have Dr. Elliott in here to testify, and he never said that she did not have it. None of the doctors so far testified, A, that they were experts in CRPS, or B, that she did not have it. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not. I wasn't supposed to watch any of the testimonies. So I have no idea what people talk
gather
about.
that from your investigation, though. At the time, did it come to your attention? Nowhere in any of the records did anyone who had any expertise in this, that is a pain management doctor, a neurologist, or a anesthesiologist, ever agree with your assessment that there was no CRPS?
I think I just answered that. Yes, I believe there were people that had the same.
I can't name them.
Okay. What did you check with Dr. Spiegel, a board certified neurologist? That
PTSD, PTSD.
CRPS.
Go ahead and answer.
Oh, Sarah.
MG,
trust me, bro.
MGLaw, welcome to the program. MGLaw.
Had this 10-year-old child do hyperbaric oxygen treatment, I believe, on 40 occasions in a row, when she also got
Oxygen
ketamine
treatment.
on some of the
Oh,
same
no.
days. So I wasn't terribly worried about whether he thought or did not think that she had CRPS.
Because you'd already decided in your mind that a board certified pediatrician with his years of experience was not qualified to render an opinion on that. Is that right?
Look at that scowl. Jeez.
Go ahead and answer.
I'm sorry.
She's got RBF.
Dr. Barr,
Yeah.
a board certified neurologist.
All right,
He
so this goes
testified.
on for a while, but I mean, the best part is at the end of this, which I just lost my place, so it doesn't matter because we're gonna move on. At the end of this, he tells her, "You're not really a child abuse doctor, are you? You're really a prosecutor. You're a medical prosecutor. And he nails it. And of course she says, no, that's absurd. But he nails it because that is her role. She is acting as a prosecutor for the state. She's not interested in exculpatory evidence. And I have information that she actually was involved in not disclosing exculpatory information in a case, a criminal case, against that father who confronted her outside the courtroom yesterday. That father was put in prison for 8 months because of this woman's false accusations. And during the trial, his appeal, I have it, it's 198 pages. I've been reading through it. In his appeal, his attorneys say they asked if she had ever been accused of false allegations of child abuse before, and she said no. And then USA Today wrote an article in the same year about all these families that she had falsely accused of child abuse. So I don't know, isn't that, Jeff, isn't that a Brady violation in a criminal case if someone on the prosecutor's team doesn't turn over exculpatory information?
Could be.
Well,
seems like
information that allows you to effectively cross-examine a witness.
Exactly.
That is a problem.
I mean, if it, it affects her credibility clearly, so yeah, it could be.
Well, I think it's a problem. And here's the good news. Mr. Anderson on the plaintiff's team, Greg Anderson, he is also suing. In 2021, he filed another lawsuit, and I just got the text of it, against Sally Smith and all these same doctors, a bunch of them at Johns Hopkins, for doing this to another family. We may get another trial with Anderson and Whitney and the entire team going after this bitch again, because they filed it in 2021. I'm going to read it on another stream.
Johns Hopkins may be serial in terms of misdiagnosing.
No, they are serial, and Sally Smith has been at the head of it for all of this time. Yeah,
I see a problem.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna hand out your roles now. Are you ready? Because this is the dependency hearing that happened on December 16th. I'm sorry, not 16th, December 29th, 2016. This was, I believe, the last dependency hearing before Maya Kowalski killed herself. And these things are very hard to get a hold of. So thank you to the person in the chat who sent this to me. All right, Sarah Runovich, who is the lawyer for Children's Legal Services, so basically a DCF lawyer, is going to be played this evening by Fluxx. Fluxx, you have two roles tonight. You're going to be Runovich, and you're also going to be Maya Kowalski.
Sarah Runovich.
Lord. Wait, is she a good guy or is she a bad guy?
Runovich is a bad guy. She works for the DCF, but Beata, of course, is the victim.
Yep.
It's even right there in her name, Sarah Runovich.
Yeah.
Runovich.
Wow.
You're Sarah Runovich. Yes. David Silverstein is going to be played by Michael Volpe. He is the lawyer for Children's Legal Services, appearing on behalf of the department. So both Sarah Runovich and Silverstein are appearing on behalf of DCF. Jared Monahan. What do I have this as? Oh, I didn't assign Monahan. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have one person who has to do two parts, and we're just gonna see how it goes. So Monahan's gonna be the odd one out. Salisbury. So Monahan is the guardian ad litem, the lawyer appearing on behalf of the gal. So she had her own lawyer. The guardian ad litem had her own lawyer, which is kind of funny. Deborah Salisbury is appearing on behalf of Jack Kowalski. And that's Deborah. Chandler, you'll be playing Salisbury.
Got it.
Delicious steak.
I am going to be playing the part of Verinia Van Ness. She is appearing on behalf of Maya Kowalski. And then we have, who else? We've got more. Mark Zimmerman, MGLaw, that's Maya's lawyer. Right. So that's going to be you. And then we have Hunter, Mr. Hunter from JHACH. And also, I forgot the judge, Judge Hayworth, which of course is going to be Legal Vices. Legal Vices, you're going to be the judge. You are the court.
I'll allow it.
Hunter, we're going to have an issue with Hunter. I think MGLaw, you may have to play, but you may have to play Hunter. He doesn't show up though till a while down, I don't think. So we're just going to see how it works. Mike or MG can jump in for extra male parts when we run out.
Ooh, extra male parts.
Phrasing.
Phrasing. This is very serious.
Very serious. Wait, so
Very
Deborah,
serious.
just to clarify, my role, I'm playing the lawyer for the guardian ad litem.
Chandler, no, you are the lawyer for. Hold on.
Me.
You're Salisbury. You're Jack's attorney. Jack Kowalski.
Father.
You're the
Okay.
dad. Your father's attorney.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right. Just wanted to clarify. Okay.
All right.
And Beata's the witness.
End scene. Your Honor, forgive me. Before we begin, we're having difficulty with the hospital getting Maya on the phone. They won't agree to call Mom's iPad, which is ready to go. They're saying they will only call an email in the courtroom, the judge or the clerk, but not one of us. So perhaps you can instruct the nurse that it's okay to call the iPad. Chandler, you can take this unidentified speaker on the telephone. I think it's Kathy Beatty.
We have a regular phone in the room, and I was told by our risk manager that the court usually has a person with an iPad, so we can get their phone number if you want her to be FaceTimed.
That is incorrect. There is no person in the courtroom with an iPad besides the lawyers and the mothers, so...
Well, let's do the telephone. Is the telephone available? Do you have a phone number? Is there a phone number we can call?
Well, if the judge wants to tell me to do that, I certainly can, but we have a regular phone in the room where she can join in the conversation.
Judge, we want her to be able to observe the proceedings.
I understand that.
Does the judge want that?
And we have the iPad ready, and they have an iPad in the hospital. They just don't want to do it.
That's not true.
Hold on.
I'm asking if the judge is in agreement to it.
Just a moment.
To using the mom's iPad.
Ask the person on the phone just to stand by for a minute.
Stand by, the judge said.
All right, now, Mr. Silverstein.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, at this time, the state...
Chandler, you're Salisbury.
Oh, sorry. So it's kind of inequitable for the parents to be able to, defend themselves and for the child to be able to defend herself when we're being given this just stand up in court and make a motion and without notice. Yesterday, I was able to spend about an hour and a half at CLS scanning over 2,000 pages from All Children's Hospital, which I believe ended as of December 10th. And I only began to read some of them last night, and it is very apparent from the records that the child is very angry at the hospital for being separated from her parents and being kept there in the notes that have been recorded. She's been very sad and depressed by the separation from her family. It is very apparent to me that her anger is not because she's participated in this proceeding, but...
Objection. Calls for speculation and counsel testifying.
This is an attorney giving her impressions.
But I've had no opportunity to prepare to put that evidence on. I would have to have the records custodian here or some of those witnesses that accurately reported what was going on with the child. You just keep getting presentations by another doctor that rotates on the case every 2 weeks, that this is the hospital and the treatment team's position and that the child becomes unmanageable. I would also ask the court to take into consideration that the hospital has had this child now 2.5 months. The accusation of Munchausen by proxy remains in place. The mother has been removed from the picture and has only had very limited contact with the child. And, if you read most of the literature about Munchausen by proxy, once you remove the mother who's causing the problem, supposedly the child usually gets very quickly better. They haven't been able to fix this child. The records also clearly indicated to me yesterday that they have continued to treat this child for CRPS, and that is a working diagnosis that's continuing on in the medical records. I did not have time to prepare for an evidentiary hearing. I believed we were coming here today to give you our proposed discharge plans, and that we were supposed to have it researched and have sufficient detail in the order, and that you would choose an order. And that's what I have for the court today, a detailed order.
All right, your position.
All right, Mr. Monahan, MGLaw, why don't you take that?
Yes.
You were the
No,
guardian.
it's up higher. It
ad
should be Van Ness.
You're up at the top.
Oh, sorry, I didn't go far enough. Judge, I echo the same sentiments. There was no notice given to us that some doctors now saying that it would not be good for her to appear. We've already had Dr. Duncan testify. We already had the other doctor testify. You already told her she was able to testify. She's entitled to be present, and she's not asking to be excused. Her lawyer is here, and her lawyer is not asking for her to be excused. So I would object to this last-minute effort to keep Maya out of her proceedings.
Mr. Zimmerman, anything you'd like to add?
Judge, I agree with counsel for the parents. I mean, the child should be able to be present. I've spoken with her. She does express, displeasure in the way she's been cut off. It seems that the hospital is, making efforts to make these processes more difficult. She likes to have as much privacy as possible, but other than that, I just agree with counsel for the parents.
Mr. Monahan, any position on this?
Fluxx, why don't you do that?
Your Honor, I believe you previously ruled that Maya is allowed to be present for this. Without hearing from the doctor, I don't know what's changed, but I'm sure we're going to hear about that. So I withhold my thoughts until I hear from the doctor.
Mr. Hunter, the objections that the parents have made obviously are based on their knowledge of the child's condition when we've heard from other physicians and folks, but it's a moving target. I mean, the position is all the time changing. I think I need to know about the status currently. And also, I think to get to the issue of placement is certainly appropriate here. Short notice is not something we can control given the nature of the case and the child's condition. The objection will be overruled. You can tell Dr. Major that we will entertain her phone call. And if you get her on the phone, let us know when that happens.
Mr. Hunter, how about MGLaw?
Okay. I have a cell phone number for her, Judge.
Your Honor, we're also going to ask that Maya be allowed to present evidence, and we would call her as a witness. So we would still want to present our own evidence in that regard.
You want to have the child rebut what the physicians say?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll make that decision after I hear from the doctor. Let's go ahead and call.
Do you want our proposed orders?
Conflict.
Judge.
Do we have our Salisbury straight?
Yeah, that was me.
That's
my
Chandler.
Bad. My bad. I jumped the gun.
Just didn't want us to have a fight break out here.
I've done it too. It's okay.
I'm having a hard time not reading the court. I'm so used to reading the court.
I'm having a hard time waiting for Elaine.
When I was a kid and I did musical theater, you get your lines and then you highlight all of your lines so you're clear on which ones are yours.
Yeah.
If I had I would have done that if I got it in advance, but
Sorry, that would be me and my medium professionalist again.
Wait, so I am Salisbury, correct?
Yes, you are.
You are.
Just making sure, because I actually wasn't. When you started talking Fluxx, I wasn't actually sure. I was like, wait a second. So
no,
okay.
That was my bad.
No worries.
All right, let's.
Do you have those with you?
What?
Salisbury. We're on line 9.
Do I have what with me?
Salisbury. That would be
Your
Chandler.
proposed
Line
orders.
9.
Oh, we're going. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, let's go ahead. Do you want our proposed orders?
Wait, what?
You're on 11, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did that. Yeah.
Oh, you
yes,
did?
do you
sorry.
have those with you?
What would you like me to do with the nurse on the phone?
Tell her that we're going to talk to the doctor and she can be excused.
Okay, we're going to deal with this through the doctor, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up now. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead. Have you shared these proposed orders with each other?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Counsel, if you want to approach here so that you can ask the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Approach the bench so that we can sound a telephone.
Ring, 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 ring.
Banana phone.
Oh, we don't have a Dr. Major. Anybody? Dr. Major, jump in.
This is Dr. Major.
Clarence. Over.
This is Dr. Major.
Over.
Hi, this is Dr. Major.
Major.
Doctor.
This is Dr. Major.
Dr. Major, this is Judge Hayworth. We're in open court in Sarasota.
Hi. Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to have some questions to ask of you. Mr. Silverstein from the department is going to be asking you first. And if you would wait.
Okay.
The way this works, because it's a little bit awkward, if you haven't done this before on the phone, please wait for the questions to be finished. Listen for objections in case a lawyer has an objection to the question. And then I'll...
Okay.
As he interrupts the judge after being told to wait.
Good work, Dr. Major. I think Dr. Major needs a Southern accent, though, Chandler. You're gonna have to change that.
Oh, is Dr. Major Southern?
I don't know. I'm making him that way, so we know the difference between Salisbury and
That'd be
Major.
his friend, Dr. Colonel.
I thought Dr. Major was female. Is Dr. Major male?
I have no idea.
Okay. Okay.
Colonel Dr. Major.
I'll do a voice.
I'll rule on that, and then we can get a decision whether or not to have you answer or not. We have present.
Hold on, answer or not? Yep. Okay.
We have present.
Okay.
God damn it! Stop interrupting me. We have.
It's gotta be a woman,
Mr.
right?
Hunter.
It has to be a woman.
Yeah, definitely.
We have present Mr. Hunter, who's with the hospital attorneys. We have Mrs. Van Ness, who's an attorney representing one of the parents, and Ms. Salisbury, who also represents a parent. And then we have some questions for you also, perhaps from the guardian and the attorney for the child. So we'll start with Mr. Silverstein. Before I do, I need to administer an oath. Witness sworn by court. All right, now Mr. Silverstein, you're up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, it is a woman.
Is it?
Catherine
Yes.
Alexis Major. You were right.
Well, hello. I'm Catherine Alexis Major, MD. Having been produced and first duly sworn as a witness, and after responding, yes, I do to the oath, testified as follows. Oh, wait.
That was good.
Dr.
Right, Mr. Silverstein.
Dr. Major, could you please give your full name for the record?
Yes, my name is Catherine Alexis Major.
And doctor, are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed?
I'm employed at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida.
And how long have you been employed there?
Recently, for about 4 months.
And are you a licensed medical doctor?
Yes, I am.
And how long have you been licensed for?
12 years.
Do you have a specialty?
Pediatric hospitalist.
Pediatric what?
Hospitalist.
And what is a pediatric hospitalist?
We take care of patients specifically in the hospital, usually acute patients. In my particular setting, it would be acute illnesses and not necessarily directed to a staff specialist per se, but a varied array of diseases.
And how long have you had this specialty?
I actually worked 9 years prior, and then I worked 9 years as a pediatric hospitalist here at Johns Hopkins All Children's, and then worked 2 years in private practice, and then just came back approximately 4 months ago to pediatric hospitalist medicine.
And what was your private practice?
It was general pediatrics.
And doctor, are you board certified?
Yes, I am.
They love their board certification.
In what?
General pediatrics.
And doctor, approximately how many children have you provided treatment for?
That would be hard to say. It would have to be a couple of thousand patients. That would be really hard to say.
And doctor, do you know a child by the name of Maya Kowalski?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know her?
I am presently the attending physician taking care of her, presently, at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital.
And when have you been the attending physician for her?
I'm presently now for this week, and I was her attending physician 2 weeks ago as well for a week.
And doctor, how often during the week do you see Maya?
Approximately 30 to 40, a week? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Approximately 30 to 40 minutes a day, so probably about three and a half hours to 4 hours a week.
And do you see her every day?
Yes, I do see her every day.
Including weekends?
Yes, I do.
And doctor, do you have a recommendation whether Maya Kowalski appear in these court proceedings?
Objection, improper foundation.
Overruled.
Can you clarify what you're asking?
Doctor, do you have any feelings as to, well, in your opinion...
Uh-huh.
Up here. Oh. Line 1.
Do you feel that Maya's participation...
Objection, leading question.
Overruled.
Doctor, in your opinion, do you have an opinion whether Maya Kowalski participating in these court proceedings impacts her medical treatment at All Children's Hospital?
Yes, I do.
And what is your opinion?
My opinion is that I have some significant reservations about her actually participating and hearing what is discussed during these sessions. Secondary to the fact that I feel that, one, I don't think that she fully understands all of the terminology, what the ramifications mean, and then also with the concern of this being partly psychosomatic, Some of the things that we will discuss may actually sway her clinical presentation, and that is concerning. And also the fact that I will continue to need to take care of this patient, I'm concerned that it may cause some regression given the past history of every time she goes to court. We seem to have regression of
Fluxx,
objection.
Wanting to participate.
Hold on.
In
objection, lack of foundation, hearsay.
Overruled. I didn't hear your last answer, man.
I'm just concerned about the fact that every time she goes to court, we have regression where she does not want to participate in physical therapy, occupational therapy. She also tends to be very defiant with vital signs, the physical exam, and in her demeanor overall, she seems to be quite unhappy.
Oh my God.
Wait, even her vital signs are defiant.
What?
She's
quite happy?
Oh my God.
Unhappy.
Wait, let's take a second here. Here's this kid. She's regressing every time they have a hearing because at every hearing they continue to keep her away from her family.
Yeah,
and they can't put it together. They can't put together that a 10-year-old just wants to go the hell home.
Well, and the witness's implication is she's listening, she's hearing about these things, and then she's acting them out later.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
No, she's just pissed off. She's at the damn hospital.
Megan, can you did they discuss the psychosomatic designation very much? Is that something that's come up a lot?
It's coming up
yes,
right next.
It has come up. You mean in the trial currently?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I feel like that's a term that maybe not everybody knows.
They
but
did,
it's-
and they're calling it conversion disorder. We heard a lot about that this last week, and we heard a lot about it today, and we heard a lot. We've heard a lot about it. What I find very interesting about this conversion disorder is that their own expert, the defense's own expert, one of their expert doctors actually said they don't even call it conversion disorder anymore. That was like our 2015 thing. And since then they've learned that there are real neuropsychological issues, like neurological problems that lead to a conversion issue. So the pain is real. The pain is not, so it doesn't even matter if she has conversion disorder or CRPS. She's in real pain. So what they did to a child in real pain by testing her, trying to trap her, by keeping her in uncomfortable situations and surveilling her and violating her privacy and throwing Jesus in the dumpster.
Yeah, that was just a bad look.
All of that. And by the way, I don't know, Mike, I don't know if you've been following this too much, but yeah, they took communion, the actual host, and threw it in the trash. Like these people are sick, and I just want to remind you how sick they are. No cake or Jesus for sick kids at All Children's Hospital.
What was their justification for that? I never really understood.
How do you have to be to literally take candy from a child?
Yeah, how sick do you have to be? No, they accused Maya Kowalski of possibly contaminating the host with ketamine. For real.
Oh God, are you
Right.
kidding me?
There's a lot of similarities between this case and Justina Pelletier.
Oh, I know.
Justina was a little bit older, but yeah, they ripped her from her family, and she started to devolve under the hospital tutelage in the same way.
She went and walked, and she came out in a wheelchair.
Right.
Because it's a trauma. It's traumatic to keep these children from their parents. It's horrible.
They won't ever consider that it might be because you are the ones who are wrong.
You're the abusers. Yeah.
Right.
Sharon, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy Friday, all. I'm here to hate on Sally Smith with y'all. Well, there's plenty to go around. McCrae, thank you for the huge super chat. $50. Thanks for the coverage, Megan. Love the nicknames and the laughing in the face of tyranny. These hospital people are all on the side of the devil. And Hannah had a big picture of Jesus behind him at the depot today. Yes, he did. Who knew we would find Jesus finally on the wall of Dr. Hannah? It's weird how one side of this has Jesus and the other side keep throwing him in the dumpster.
Right.
Sarah Dawn, thanks for the super chat, says, hashtag Dr. Homewrecker, even her initials are evil. SS. I noticed that too.
Nazi lady.
Petey Warren, thanks for the super chat, says, thank you for your openness and sincerity, Megan. Also, Jeff, on your channel is always a win. Looking forward to this stream. It is. McCrae, thanks again for the super chat. So, Sally, what's your quota of abused kids? Did you meet it in 2016?
Yeah, right.
No, I think good. T-Rex Trucking and More says, we love medium smart Megan Fox. Thank you, T-Rex. Love you too. E. Koala, does Chandler have experience in theater?
I do.
She does. Can
Sounds
you
like
tell?
it.
I was I played Annie when I was 5 years old in our in my little after school program. It was a lot of fun, and then I taught kids in musical theater later on in that same theater group. So I love theater. I do. It's a lot of fun.
Didn't you do a voiceover for like something too?
Yeah, I did a little bit of voiceover
Yeah.
because in LA basically like you can do voiceover is really great work. You can do radio spots and so I did a couple little things here and there. It was fun. Yeah.
And thank you, LA, for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Fox Den. Chickens get eaten. That's how it works here. Okay.
Let's get back to it.
Leave off. Miss Salisbury, quite what? Mr. Silverstein, we'll start off with you, line 15. That's you, Volpe.
Quite what?
There you go.
Quite happy?
Unhappy.
And doctor, have you observed this yourself?
Yes, I have.
Now you mentioned a word, psychosomatic. What is that?
Another way to describe that is a conversion disorder, which is a disorder in which the patient will present with some specific symptoms, which to them, for, the majority of them, they feel that these symptoms are real, but there is no true organic justification for them. So, for example, you can have something like a pseudo-seizure, where the patient presents looking like a seizure, but if you did...
I would object to relevancy.
Okay, just a moment. We have an objection. It's overruled. Continue, doctor.
God, do you ever find an objection you don't overrule?
Okay. If you were to place, for example, electrodes, looking at their brain activity, it would be completely normal. And the patients are often, they can be very much, weighted or influenced by other individuals discussing symptoms of what they should have. And then sometimes they will present with that. But a lot of this just requires psychotherapy, and there's often psychological stressors that induce these particular manifestations.
And doctor, have you seen these psychosomatic issues with Maya?
In my opinion, yes, because of the diagnosis that she was carrying of chronic regional pain syndrome. A lot of what she should manifest is not manifesting. For example, she should have unilateral pain, but she has global pain, which is really unusual. She has no preceding trauma, which is almost always in all cases. And she should have things like temperature changes, color changes in her extremities, which she does not have. And then on days that she, is in a lot of pain, she participates in a lot of activities which it just doesn't make any sense to me. So clinically, what she should be experiencing and what she's telling me don't go together.
So doctor, can you explain to the court how participating in the court proceeding can impact this psychosomatic issue?
Well, I feel that if we discuss all these specific symptoms of what she should be experiencing, what she shouldn't be experiencing are things that she could actually incorporate into her clinical findings, her daily findings. Or she could say it, she's very smart. So she could say, well, I'm experiencing this because a lot of this is subjective. Especially pain can be very subjective on what one person rates versus another. And then it becomes much more difficult to figure out exactly what's going on, and it will completely muddy the water. So, and I think that's my biggest concern. And then I think also because we are actually taking care of the patient, that it may really impede care because she won't want to participate and she will become defiant.
And Judge, did you want me to address the placement issue now or later?
Let's hold on that.
I think that's still the judge.
Still the judge.
Oh, I said Dr. Major and I just tuned out. The beginning of the line. Let's hold on that. Dr. Major, we're also concerned about options for placement of the child, which is a subject we'll return to in a moment.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm going to have the attorneys representing the parents have a chance to question you. So please, if you would wait until they finish their questions before you answer. And who wants to go first?
Fluxx.
Chandler, that's back to you.
No, it's you because you're going to be questioning the doctor.
Oh, I'm questioning. Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
All right. This is Ms. Salisbury.
This is you.
Hi, doctor.
Hi.
You indicated that you are the physician treating the child for this week?
Yes.
And that you treated her 2 weeks ago. Are you the only? Are those the only 2 weeks that you've been the attending physician for her?
Yes, that's correct.
And she's been there how long?
She has been here approximately 2.5 months.
So out of the 2.5 months, you've treated her for 2 weeks?
Yes, that is correct.
How many patients do you have on your patient load right now?
12.
Okay. And what do you do with her for the 30 to 40 minutes every day that you meet with her?
Basically, I'll just talk with her very briefly. I don't do a lot of, I don't ask her about her pain because of the fact that, it's just always 10 out of 10. And then I examine her the best that I can. Sometimes she is defiant with some of the exam. And then the other part is spent with, between meeting, discussing with other team members, and then also discussing with the residents.
Okay. So when you said you spend 30 to 40 minutes with her a day, you don't actually spend 30 to 40 minutes with her at bedside. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. About how many minutes do you spend at her bedside with her?
Probably about 15 minutes, and that's give or take depending on the day.
Okay. You said that you had reservations about her participating in proceedings. And can you tell me the last time that you saw her immediately after she participated in proceedings?
That was 2 weeks ago, after one of our hospitalists actually went or participated in one of the... I actually examined her later that day.
What day was that?
I cannot remember offhand. I want to say it was a Thursday, but I can't remember.
Okay. And you said that every time she goes to court, you had concerns that she may regress. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you reviewed her whole... Wait. Yeah, that is. Have you reviewed her whole records at All Children's Hospital?
I have to the best of my ability. It's pretty extensive.
Okay, so...
So I can't say that I've read every single note.
Oh, God.
Okay. That was defensive right there.
Maybe you should read every single piece of evidence when you're taking a kid away from her parents.
Yikes.
Or saying that she's not allowed to participate in something
this is so bullshit.
Megan, the child is defiant. What do you want me to do? I'm doing my best. I have 12 patients I have to cover.
This is so
15
common.
minutes at a time.
In these child proceedings, they never want to hear from the child. No matter how old the child is, never put the child on the stand, never let the child testify about what they want. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Not even teenagers, you guys. Mike and I have covered stories where 14 and 15-year-olds were not allowed to tell the judge that they were being sexually abused. They were not allowed to tell. They had to run away from from home. And it's just awful. It's awful.
Right. There's a lot of it. I covered one at the end of last year from Utah where the judge took the unusual step of bringing the kids into her chambers and hearing from them, but it was completely off the record and no one knew what the kids actually said. I do know what the kids said, but it basically was completely useless because it didn't matter.
Because it wasn't on the record.
Right. They all said they wanted to live with one parent and the other parent was abusive, but regardless, who cares? And that was unusual. So this is so common, and everyone in the system will fight like hell, like this lady doctor is doing right now, to keep that child out of these proceedings, and they'll come up with a bogus, nonsensical reason like what you're hearing right now. She's going to regress. Yeah.
I gotta read some of the Rumble rants that came in that I missed. Sorry guys, over on Rumble. I'm not ignoring you. Johnny Reb 84 says, Fluxx, I was yelling, walking alone on the golf course this morning. Jeff, was good to meet you in Houston. CPS is asshole.
CPS is, DFS is asshole too.
Yeah. All of them. And then Johnny has 3 more. Johnny said, I'm really glad Florida streams their trials as a matter of law. Bring the DCF abuses to light. I agree. They need cameras in the courtrooms. He also said, JHACH makes it easy to hate them. Defund JHACH. And 12 patients, 20 to 40 minutes a day. That is less than 6 hour per day. I think hour per day.
He's assuming
if she's got 12 patients, 30 minutes a day is 6 hours.
6 hours
if each patient
by
is
week.
30 minutes.
6 hours a week.
No,
Well, it'll be 6 hours. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
6 hours
Sorry,
a
there's
day,
a
but you're
typo.
assuming that each of those patients is 30 minutes.
Yeah. So 6 hours a day. If it's
Yeah, and
30
the doctors
minutes a
have
day.
nothing else to do. They have more to do
But
than
it's not
just
even that. It's
Right,
only
I-
15 minutes a
Yeah.
patient
Yeah.
that they're actually in there with them.
My job is very difficult. I am very insulted.
She's gonna fight.
Now,
She's gonna fight.
now Megan Fox.
Yes.
You know, it's important that both sides get a chance to argue their case. See, we have to be fair and balanced and not
Notice
judgmental.
how the judge. Notice
not
how the
to-
judge doesn't allow the other side to even get objections in. Are you noticing that yet? Is anybody noticing that the judge is overruling every single objection from the other side? Now wait till we get going here, because if Silverstein starts objecting, I'm going to bet, and I haven't read this yet, but I'm going to bet that Judge Hayworth sustains them all. That's my bet. Where are we at? What line are we on?
Other channels may be
number
negative,
13.
but we don't
I
do
believe
that
that
here on this channel. Megan.
Jeff, stop it.
So we left off where I said I can't say that I have read every single note.
Okay. So you're not maybe familiar with how angry she's been at the hospital and those documented notes that she feels that the hospital is lying to her and she's angry about being separated from her family?
I have actually read that, and I've read that with a lot of that is from her psychology notes and her, they do cognitive behavioral therapy with her as much as they can. It's usually about once a week, and I do read those notes. Those are fairly well documented on how she feels.
Okay, and
So,
did you read any of the child's
MG, Mr. Hunter.
Oh, Mr. Hunter. Okay. Excuse me. Can we let the witness finish her answer?
Yes. Go ahead and answer, ma'am. Complete your answer.
I was just going to say, so I understand, and I do get the feeling that, she is angry, and that's hopefully understandable.
And did you consider the fact that by isolating her further from her family in these proceedings, she may become more angry at you and the staff and not want to cooperate more in her treatment there?
Yes, I think that's completely understandable that she would be angry.
Okay.
But can I just interject? I think that's even more reason why we need to.
I would move to strike as being non-responsive.
Oh my God.
Hold on. Go ahead and complete your answer, doctor.
Wow. No sustained. No, just go ahead and complete your answer. I knew how this was going to go.
I think that's even more reason why we need to get her to a facility where she can have intensive therapy.
Oh, wait, I was just... What line are we on? I was a...
Three.
Right.
Here.
Page 28.
All right,
3.
that's outside the scope.
Overruled. Go ahead, doctor.
To get
Surprising.
to get intensive therapy, both for physical therapy and for cognitive behavioral therapy.
How many times a week are you providing physical therapy to her at All Children's Hospital?
They're trying to do it every day.
So she's having physical therapy every day for 2.5 months, and you haven't been able to fix her feet, have you?
Well, I cannot say I could answer that with a good educational answer, given the fact that I'm not a physical therapist. But I will state that she does not always participate in the physical therapy either.
Okay, and you're not a CRPS expert either, are you?
Excuse me? I'm not a what?
An expert in treating patients with CRPS, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not an expert on that.
So, if her legs had reached a second stage of CRPS, where she would no longer have the temperature change in her extremities because she has bilateral changes that may not be apparent, you wouldn't know that.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
She testified to...
Hold on. Overruled.
All right, you might have been wrong.
Surprising. You got one. That's surprising.
I wouldn't say, I'm not an expert on that. I'm the first to say that I'm not an expert on those. On that specifically, I would defer that to somebody who is an expert with that.
All right. and you were testifying earlier about her possibly having a conversion disorder, that there's no true organic bias. Is it your testimony that this child does not suffer from CRPS and there's no organic basis to treat to her feet and lower extremities? Her lower extremities being what is that? Atrophied.
And pronated.
Well, frankly, I'm basing this more on the fact that one is the clinical signs, and two is the history. And also the history of her therapy and why she did not get any better during therapy.
Hold on, I lost my place. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're on line 5 right here.
Of which number?
Right. Do you see
page
my,
30?
Oh, sorry. Page
30. Okay.
30, line 5.
Okay. Sorry about that. And what does the history of the therapies before she came to all children? And what is the history of the therapies before she came to all children's that you're aware of?
The big ones are the ketamine drip and infusions that she's had. I know she's been, she also had IgG infusions because of an immunodeficiency. But the big ones were the ketamine infusions that she was getting in fairly large infusions.
And what do you know about her treatment for conversion disorder in the past?
Silverstein, 16.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
I don't actually know a lot about her treatment for conversion disorder in the past.
So you weren't aware that she had spent a month at Tampa General Hospital being treated for that on a rehab unit prior to coming to All Children's?
I did know that she was being treated. I do know that she did go to Tampa General Hospital. And I know she did not have a good experience there from a psychological standpoint. Now, granted, I thought she was being treated for pain. And,
So it would be...
She didn't finish.
Would it be fair to say you haven't reviewed those records?
Excuse me.
Hold on. Go ahead and finish your. I'm starting to get a sympathetic accent here from the witness.
Yeah.
Well, it is Florida. It is Florida.
Hold on. Go ahead and finish your answer, Doctor.
I was just going to say that my big thing what I knew about that was that the judge, she did not have a good experience there from a psychological standpoint. So,
okay, so you haven't read those records then, have you?
I have not seen those records.
And have you reviewed her records where she was having physical therapy as an outpatient when she was living at home with her parents?
No, I did not review that.
Okay. Were you aware that she was having physical therapy before she was admitted to All Children's as an outpatient?
I did read that in either one of the physical therapy notes, or it was in her last history and physical from the ICU, because that one was fairly explicit.
Okay. And do you remember who she was having physical therapy with?
No, I do not.
Do you remember how long she was having outpatient physical therapy?
No, I do not.
And do you remember if she was having outpatient psychotherapy prior to coming to All Children's?
I do believe that I have read that.
Okay. Do you know who was treating her outpatient psychotherapy?
I do not.
And do you know how long she was being treated for outpatient psychotherapy?
No, I do not.
Do you know anything?
Right? Like, what is she here to testify for?
Those are great questions.
Read
That's
any
really
of the
good
files.
lawyering right there.
Yeah.
That's excellent lawyering.
Like, she has no information on anything.
No.
What is she testifying to?
She's basing it off of 2 to 3 weeks of 15 minutes a day.
All right, so can I add a couple things? First of all, at one point she said she's not an expert on CRPS. Is that what it is?
She did.
And then later on she started saying, well, I don't think it's CRPS based on something clinical. So are you an expert or are you not an expert?
Right.
And then if this is Munchausen, how come she's in the hospital for 2.5 weeks and there's no end in sight to her hospital visit? Well,
Yep.
the whole thing should
3
have been...
months. She was in the hospital 3 months, Mike.
Right. Well, if it's just Munchausen, should have been in the hospital for a few days because the whole problem was you were giving her things she wasn't supposed to have. Why can't you fix her if it's just Munchausen?
The way they label her as defiant, I mean, it's just like they're blaming the child for being sick and for having an emotional reaction to very extreme circumstances that any child would reasonably be very upset by. She's being removed from her parents. She's in a great deal of pain. Her doctors are not able to help her, and they are blaming her. And she knows it.
She's there to prevent Maya from testifying against the doctors.
Yep, because Maya has info. They talk about how smart she is. And I'm sure that she's spoken up. You know, I'm sure that Maya would have a lot to say that would make them look terrible.
Yep, I like what this says here. I think she is here to say that Maya can't testify against her abusers. They want to keep Maya quiet at all costs. They don't want her telling what's going on and what's, like every abuser, they want to keep their victim from talking. And that's exactly what this entire testimony is, just to keep Maya out of this trial. Imagine Maya is sitting in the hospital right now knowing she has a lawyer. She's been prepared for this hearing. She was planning on testifying. She's sitting in the hospital right now knowing it's going on without her. What kind of psychological damage and trauma are they doing just by doing this?
Yep.
I have a question, Megan. How old was Maya?
Yeah.
How old was she at this point?
I think she had just turned 11 because her birthday was on December 16th, I think.
Okay.
She just had a birthday because there was the December 16th court order about her birthday and what they could allow. And so she had just turned 11.
I think this goes back to what Michael was saying. These are people with a God complex. They're not trying to abuse her. They're just saying they know what's wrong with her. They know who's abusing her, and they know that if she gets in here, it's just going to make it worse because they know everything. In their minds, they have this whole scenario, and they're not wrong. And so they're keeping her out for her own good.
For her own good.
And it's like if it was ketamine and she was like addicted to ketamine and stuff, wouldn't that have like gone away in like
in the 3
less
months
than a week
she was
as
there?
soon as they took her off?
I hope at some point they're going to put 2 and 2 together and say, you guys are saying it's Munchausen and she's been there for 2.5 months and she's not getting better.
And she also has physical therapy.
Then what is wrong with her?
Then what's wrong with her? Yeah.
Her feet, you know, that they asked that question about like, well, you haven't been able to fix her feet. Why is she in physical therapy if her symptoms are fictitious and it's all psychosomatic? I don't understand that. It's the idea she's making herself sick psychologically because she believes that she's sick.
Well, that's why they wouldn't brush her teeth, brush her hair, give her a shower or anything like that, because they were like, oh, if she has to go to the bathroom long enough, she'll eventually get up and go herself, and that'll prove that we're right when she just sits there and soils herself.
Yeah.
And that humiliated her and traumatized her further, and it was neglectful. It's the kind of thing that, you know, that is neglect. That is abusive.
So
unless you ask Sally Smith.
Right.
In which case she's like, it's a stretch that's abuse.
Right. She said that was a stretch. I also think, though, that if they really did believe she had a psychological disorder, their answer then was to psychologically traumatize her further. Their answer to a psychological disorder was not to treat this patient with care and consideration, but with more trauma and more abuse. These people are evil. I mean,
the psychological disorder doesn't get fixed at a hospital. None of this makes sense.
They wouldn't let her have tampons and things like that too.
Oh no, it was a razor. She wasn't allowed to shave her legs, and they made a note in the risk management file that said her mother was sexualizing her by allowing her to shave. I'm sorry, both of my daughters started shaving around the age of 11 because that's when, you know, girls get self-conscious about that kind of stuff, and you teach them they want to shave, and so there's nothing sexual about shaving your legs. It's a part of growing up and being a girl in this Western culture. So there's no and they withheld things from her like nice smelling soaps and shampoos, and they claim they didn't, but I believe Maya. And when Maya says Kathy Beatty confiscated my shampoo, I believe her. Like they're doing it because they wanted to make her miserable. They hated her mother, and they tried to get at her mother through her daughter. They were upset with the way Beata treated them. They did not like the way that she caused a scene or whatever it was, that she was hard and that she was unrelenting, and they didn't like that. And so they decided, well, we can show you what we can do to you. and they did it, and they drove her. I believe they drove her to suicide. I believe they are culpable for it, and I actually believe some of them wanted it to happen, including that bitch who said it was going to happen.
At any point did it occur to the doctors in this hospital that we are not equipped to understand what's wrong with this child, and we want to send her to a facility that will better suit her needs? I mean, they couldn't figure it out, so couldn't they just admit
Chandler, the God complex?
This is what we're going to get God here. They're actually going to admit, because I scanned through this, I didn't read the whole thing, but they are planning on, DCF is with the hospital is planning on shipping her out of state, across state lines, to either a medical foster care facility or another hospital, but still outside the reach of her parents. They're going to ship her, they're going to traffic her across state lines. That's what they want to do. They think further separation will help her. It's incredible.
I just can't stop thinking of Maya, because I mean, if I can share a short anecdote, I mean, I'm 30 years old, and I recently, I have a migraine disorder. I had to go to the ER, and I had to wait 12 hours to get relief for my migraine. And I remember sitting there thinking how much I wanted my mom. And the fact that this child is at this hospital, she's 10 years old, she's there for 2.5 months, she doesn't have her parents, she's in the worst pain of her life. All she wants is comfort, and they are taking away literally every single thing that could be supportive to her. They are not thinking about what is in the best interest of this child, and she's going through trauma that she will remember forever. And it horrifies me.
I disagree with you, because Dr. Majors seems so comforting, so I'm sure that.
Yeah, Dr. Major is amazing.
Well, I am trying to play her as a very sympathetic character.
Majors seems like a Florence Nightingale, really.
Oh, Lord. I mean, she's another saint. She's another saint.
It's just, I'm sorry to talk so much. This is very personal to me, and I'm really glad that you're covering this, Megan, because I feel like, Maya gets her voice. The way that you speak out for her is really important, and it's just, there are certain illnesses that they're invisible. You can't totally understand what's going on inside somebody's body, but people don't really get it. If they could see the physical manifestation of the pain that she was going through, if it showed up like purple spots all over her body, maybe they would understand. But the idea that they would accuse her of faking it is just awful.
It's offensive.
Every case where CPS has stepped in with Munchausen, there have been treating physicians who I diagnosed it with something else. That's what happened with Justina Pelletier, Melissa Deagle. I can't remember the lady you covered. Same thing. And they're doing it in this case. They're overruling the doctors who were treating
Cynthia Absug. She's in the chat right now.
Yeah,
she's in the chat right now. They did her.
It's amazing. That's absolutely God complex. They're smarter than the doctors who were treating this girl. Everyone that I've covered with Munchausen. There's a set of doctors who were treating that child, and a new set comes in and says, no, you're wrong. The years you've put into this, you are wrong.
And none of them have qualifications. All right, everybody, whirl it back to your seats. Let's get back. Let's get back to the transcripts. Everybody, whirl it back to your seats.
Get on with it.
Get on.
We'll be here well past midnight.
I know.
We may still be here.
We have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts, everybody.
We're not even 25% done.
Yeah, we're not.
So.
Okay, where do we leave off?
Moving on.
All right.
Moving on.
All right, 25, line 25.
Okay.
And have you had the opportunity to review any of Dr. Hannah's notes about treating her for CRPS?
No, I have not.
Have you had the opportunity to review Dr. Kirkpatrick's notes about treating her for CRPS?
No, I have not.
Okay. And can you tell me if you have done any, so you don't have any familiarity, I can't say that word, with treating patients with CRPS once they have passed through the change in their extremities, where they no longer have a temperature change in their extremities, correct?
That is correct. I've never had a patient that had chronic regional pain syndrome. I've taken care of patients that have had acute.
You're fucking kidding me. Sorry.
Well, there's the answer.
Holy hell.
So you wouldn't be familiar with those symptoms then?
I can't say that I would, because I'm not an expert.
Shit.
Oh my god.
Okay. And so if we don't if we don't discuss any specific symptoms in our hearing, those aren't issues that you're concerned about Maya picking up specific symptoms?
Yes. Yes, and my other concern is just the fact that we have to take care of her, so she's aware of who's on the line. I'm just worried about how well she's going to cooperate with us as far as treatment and exam.
Because her mom's on the...
You better cooperate or it gets the stick again.
Okay, but you just also acknowledged that she may not cooperate with treatment just because she's angry at the hospital and feels like she's being isolated from everybody, correct?
Yeah, I can't say a lot of this isn't from anger. I can't say that.
Okay, and...
I do feel that she is angry.
Okay, and do you have any concerns about her being angry after she finds out that she might not be able to be allowed to participate in today's hearings because of the hospital not wanting her to participate?
I do, but I'm
getting angry.
But I think I'm a little more concerned that specifically it may be targeted to me specifically, and then
Good.
I mean I may not even be able to go in the room and do anything. That's what I'm concerned about.
Okay.
That's what you're concerned about, lady?
She's concerned that she's going to get paid to treat a difficult 10-year-old, 11-year-old. It might be a little bit of a hassle for Dr. Majors going forward at 30 to 45 minutes a day.
No, about 10 to 15 minutes. She's not spending 30 minutes in
15
there.
minutes a day. She's going to have to put up with this poor little girl.
Well, no, she's going to be kind of a brat. So
No, don't you remember? She's like the Exorcist girl. Her head spins around.
I was just going to say, it's not like she's a 10-year-old and strapped to the bed going...
No, that is what she said she was doing. They said that she's swearing and spitting.
Oh,
and
God forbid.
Your mother cooks socks in hell.
Yeah.
That was a meme that Jeff sent me, the Dyslexorcist. Your mother cooks socks in hell.
I might have to deal with a difficult 11-year-old. That is my concern. I just do not get paid enough to be dealing with this difficult 11-year-old.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, but when you go into the room, you talk to her and examine her for about 10 minutes if she allows you to?
Yes, for the most part.
Objection. Mischaracterizes prior testimony.
Overruled.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to wait for me to scroll. Oh.
Okay, and some days she lets you examine her, and other days she doesn't, correct?
In general, she lets me examine her. It's just that sometimes she'll say things that she won't let me listen to her heart, or she won't let me listen to her abdomen, but she'll let me listen to her lungs, so it's day to day.
Okay. Then you testified earlier that her symptoms don't make sense to you. You really have never treated another patient that's passed through the initial phases of CRPS and has had it chronically, correct?
She's never treated any patients.
That is correct. That is correct.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
All right. This will be Ms. Van Ness, Dr. Major.
Good morning, doctor.
Hi.
As a follow-up question, you also don't know if Maya's not participating with treatment because of pain, do you?
No, but I can tell you that just looking through some of the notes, sometimes it is related to pain, but sometimes it's things like, my lunch is coming, my dinner is coming, I would rather eat that. Those kind of things. So it's sort of a combination of things as far as participation. And this is just also as far as things like trying to flush her port or to do blood work periodically. And it's always a comment of, why didn't you ask me this last week because I was in less pain? So sometimes it's about pain, but sometimes it's not.
And speaking of flushing her port, that was just recently done for the first time after 2.5 months. Isn't that correct?
I don't know exactly if it was 2.5 months, but it had been over a month. Per our protocol, yes, it had been over the protocol.
And the reason that it got flushed is because Mom inquired about when was the last time that her port had been flushed. And that's what prompted you guys to do it. Isn't that true?
That I don't know. I can't answer. What happened for me was that was brought up to me by the nurse. Yeah.
Have you spoken to a psychologist about your recommendation?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's Dr. Katzenstein.
When is the first time that you saw Maya? What is the date?
It would be in November. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly the date, but it was the week. It was the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay, and was Maya compliant with you that week?
To some extent, she was a little bit defiant, but she would let me listen to her.
Okay, so you encountered defiance from Maya prior to December 15th.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you well.
You encountered...
Can you repeat that?
Yes, you encountered defiance from Maya prior to December 15th.
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Did you encounter defiance from Maya prior to December 15th?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when's the first time? What is the date of the first time you saw Maya this week?
That would be December 26th.
Okay, December 26th. Do you know which date Maya appeared in court?
In between that time?
Anytime. Tell me the dates that Maya has appeared in court.
I'm trying to remember. I remember when I took care of her, so actually that was actually in December. It was just the week before Christmas, so it was that Thursday of the week before Christmas.
But you didn't see her until the 26th.
No. Actually, I'm just trying to remember my schedule, so I took care of her the week before, that full week before Christmas, and now I'm taking care of her again. This is the week after Christmas, so that, whatever that Thursday was, I think that was the date of her court appearance, or the court date.
So that would have been, that Thursday before Christmas was the 22nd.
No, I did not take care of her during the 22nd. I took care of her from the 19th, was that Monday, so that previous week, the whole previous week. I don't have a calendar on me, I just can't tell you offhand what the dates are.
So you took care of her the week of the 12th, and then this week starting on what day?
The 26th.
And you're encountering defiance from her this week?
Yes, and a little bit the week, that prior week as well. So, the very first day that I went to examine her, she was very defiant. She was a little bit better the next couple of days. And then towards the end of the week, and then the weekend, she was fairly, I don't want you to listen to my heart or my stomach, or it was something, always something.
Do you know if she's encountered that same kind of defiance from if she's exhibited that defiance to other doctors? Has this been pretty routine for her since she's been there?
So last week, the hospitalist taking care of her told me that she was pretty defiant with her, and, but prior hospitalists have told me that she was fairly good for them.
Fluxx.
Oh, objection. Here, sorry, I'm sucked into it. Objection. I'm normally watching. I'm not normally... Objection. Hearsay.
This is a more recent development.
Hold on.
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. Go ahead. The objection's overruled.
Go ahead, doctor.
She finished. Does Maya have lesions on her body now?
Does what? I'm sorry, excuse me?
Does she have lesions?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, I have no further questions.
This is Mr. Zimmerman. He's the attorney for Maya Kowalski.
All right.
Good morning, doctor.
This is you. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Doctor, what, if anything, have you personally diagnosed Maya with?
What, if anything?
What have we diagnosed her with?
Yeah, I'm asking you personally. Have you personally attributed any specific diagnoses to the child?
My personal opinion is that I think that this is a conversion disorder. I do feel that definitely some of the pain that she perceives to her is real. And then she has some of the other comorbidities. So she does have some asthma that the other...
Okay, have you consulted with Dr. Sally Smith from the Child Protection Team?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
Wow, that's weird. Is she there? I'm not sure she's there. Are you there, doctor?
Oh.
She's disconnected. Yeah.
Okay.
Stand by. We'll recall. Sound of telephone call being placed.
Ring, ring, ring.
Banana phone.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we dropped the call. This is Mr. Zimmerman. He had a question for you. Go ahead, sir.
Dr. Major, have you consulted with Dr. Sally Smith with the Child Protection Team?
Sally Smith. Yes, I have spoken with her.
Okay, how many times?
A couple of times.
When was the most recent conversation you had with Dr. Smith?
That would have been around like the 14th or the 15th.
Okay.
Of December.
Have you reviewed Dr. Smith's report on the child?
I have. To my best ability. It's a small novel.
Have you consulted with Dr. Elliott, the pain management or pain medicine doctor at All Children's?
Yes, we did that together as a team meeting.
And?
It was together with some other specialists as well.
Are you aware as to whether Dr. Elliott has attributed any particular diagnosis to Maya?
He specifically stated that he feels that this may be more psychosomatic, but that he could not take the diagnosis of chronic regional pain syndrome off the list because he... what was it that he said? I can't remember. Some of the things that her father had described about the patient, so I think he saw no records to take that off.
Okay, but has he diagnosed her with CRPS, to be more specific?
I haven't.
No, has he?
I think he left that diagnosis on. He didn't specifically diagnose her, he just left that diagnosis on.
All right. The issue of defiance and what caused it. Are you able to pinpoint whether her defiance is caused by participating in court proceedings versus any other issue? For example, the fact she's lonely and cut off from family and friends?
Is she that way with family and friends? Is that what you're asking me?
No. I'm asking if you are able to pinpoint whether her defiance toward treatment is being caused by her participation in these court proceedings versus any other cause. For example, being cut off from her family, for example.
Well, I can't say that doesn't play a part. I completely agree that to some extent her anger is based on the fact that this is a type of isolation. I completely get that, but I do think just reading some of the notes from her cognitive behavioral therapy sessions that she does feel like a lot of people are lying. She gets upset about it, and then some of this defiance comes from that as well. So she does. I mean, it's specifically in the notes. She says, there were a lot of liars in the court today. So she definitely, I'd say some of this at least was coming from that as well.
But she's right.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion, but just seeing how she discusses it to the psychologist.
Oh, and yeah, don't discuss things with your psychologist.
I don't have any other questions on this subject. Judge, just while I have Dr. Major here, the child had asked me specifically to ask the court whether there's any medical reason or any legal reason why her family is not able to bring her food. And I was just wondering, since Dr. Major is here, if we could ask her that question with the court's permission.
Go ahead.
Dr. Major, is there any reason why the family cannot bring her food into the facility? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. That's why I'm asking you.
I think I would defer. That is something that was decided earlier. And I think I would defer that to Sally Smith and what their reasoning was behind that. I do know she was on a lot of kind of like supplemental things prior. And I guess the concern was that some medications may have been brought. I don't know exactly what the intent of it was, but I don't feel comfortable answering that without maybe asking Sally Smith about that.
Dun, dun, dun.
So other than the risk that the family is trying to sneak some food, there's some kind of medication into her food, there's no reason she can't eat food from outside the hospital, correct? No medical reason, sorry.
Yeah, there's no medical reason why she can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Monahan?
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right. How about you, sir?
I'm fine, Judge.
All right. Dr. Major, this is Judge Hayworth.
Hi.
You mentioned something about team meetings. How often are these and who participates?
The first set meeting was actually they had Maya, so I believe we held it on a Tuesday. And it consists of myself, the pain team, psychology, PT, OT, child life, anyone who's involved in her case management, anyone who's involved in her case is actually at that meeting. Like, that was with psychiatry. And he treated her before as well. So all of these physicians were trying we knew that she was probably going to be in the hospital for a while. What was in her best interest and coming up with some behavioral plans to get her to participate more in her therapies. Prior to this week, I believe that they had one last week as well. And then we haven't had one Since when? I can't remember. Oh, this week thus far. And some of this is to be scheduled. But the idea was to have a once-a-week meeting, to discuss where we were at for treatment, how she was doing, where we were at with, I believe, looking at places for more intense rehab.
You indicated that your impression is the child suffers from a conversion disorder.
Uh-huh.
Is that something that falls more into the psychiatric side or into the physical side? I mean, what? Because we're looking at programs for the child, and I'm just wondering if that's something that is a necessary component of her rehabilitation.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely, because a true conversion disorder is more in the psychiatric realm, but I just want to put the caveat that these patients often experience true physical symptoms, and the pain can be one of those, and to them, it's real. To some extent, some of these symptoms are real to them. It's just that there's no true organic cause for it. And so a lot of times, and in Maya's situation, my concern is just the deconditioning from not walking, being inside, and so forth. She will truly need physical therapy and occupational therapy for at least with biofeedback and so forth. But she also needs a meeting with physical therapy. I don't think that is part of that, but she needs that as well to identify things, whether they're stressors or possible etiologies. And I think she needs that. She needs that component. It's very important.
Dr. Smith had made an assessment that she believed that it's reflective listening. It shows she cares. Made an assessment that she believed there were indications of factitious disorder. Is that something that the hospital treats with a child if it exists?
No, now some of the cognitive behavioral therapy can do that, but that's sort of all part of it. And that's the part where we're not sure if there's some overlying issue with the conversion disorder and then some factitious component as a kind of, secondary thing. It's possible. I can't truly tell you that because I'm not a psychiatrist. That would be harder for me to diagnose that, but I have taken care of a lot of patients with conversion disorder, so that part is harder. But even with the conversion disorder, there's still a large psychotherapy component that's needed to help the patient.
I've got to push pause here for a minute. Isn't it interesting that the patients that she's taken care of, a lot of them, that's what she thinks this girl has, and the thing that she's never seen before in her life, she doesn't think she has.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also conversion therapy is psychological, but she's not a psychologist.
And they just admitted they can't treat it. They don't treat it.
Yeah.
But
what is conversion disorder? I've actually never heard of that.
It used to. Here's what it is. It is a bullshit diagnosis for doctors who are too incurious to find out what really is fucking wrong with you. That's it.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke about conversion therapy, but
the resident lesbian has an answer.
Oh my God.
It's that thing that parents send their kids to
it's a
when
camp.
it's a camp where we learn to love Jesus harder and
I grew up with somebody who was sent to one of those camps, actually.
Electroshock.
The Hippocratic Oath says, "First, do no harm."
Exactly.
They do not.
They seem to forget that.
It's so simple, but it's not easy. It's actually really difficult for doctors to follow that.
Obviously.
Well,
it's
yeah.
difficult.
When
Chicago Jan, thanks for the super chat, says, Megan, show them the photo with the two left hands. I don't know if we'll have time to get to that, and I don't even know if I have the photo.
It wasn't two left hands.
I think it was not, but I do still think it's two different people because I don't think there was a way for one person to be in that position. But that's a whole other conversation. Chad Morrill, thank you for the super chat. It's just not the same when Megan isn't the judge and Jeff isn't the bad guy's entire law team. Just kidding. This is great entertainment. Also a nice look into the past cause of current trial. And also, Chad, it's really rare to get one of these. A dependency court hearing transcript is something that we may never see again. I mean, unless people listen to me, court clerks out there, anybody who has access to these files, you want to do a good deed, start leaking the bad ones. I protect my sources, and I will do this as long as it takes for people to figure out what the hell is going on. Nick Campbell, thanks for the super chat, says, Jeff, what?
Lefroy Glor or Ardbeg Ugidal.
Thank you, Jeff.
If you like sea salty and Pete, Ardbeg Ugidal. If you like smoking Pete, Lefroy Glor.
Oh my God, Rumble is off the hook tonight with the Rumble rants. Holy cow. You guys are really stepping it up tonight. You want to be noticed, don't you? Johnny Reb sent us Rumble rant, says, when the staff is absolutely lying to Maya 95% of the time, cannot even tell her about the court proceedings, throwing the sacrament of Christ in the dumpster. I'm not Catholic, but that is fucked up. Yes, yes, Johnny, it is. And Johnny also says Megan's coverage of the case has been amazing. I'm still 4 days behind, but I'm ready for the Salem witch trials for the Munchie Bunch. Yeah, they need it.
The Munchie Bunch, I love that.
Johnny also adds, you're not an expert until it's time to take away the child from the goddamn family. You should be all be burned at the stake with your torso protected from the fire so you can survive to feel the pain. Well,
that's
can't
cold-blooded.
That.
Damn,
I can't endorse that, but it's
harsh.
imaginative.
I
It's
like it.
imaginative. Penitent Tangent, thanks for the $20 Rumble rant, says, thus I clothe my naked villainy with old odd ends stolen forth of holy writ and seem a saint when most I play the devil. Ooh, that was a good one. Man, does that not describe every one of these people? But they are clothing themselves in the garments of saints while they are actually the devil. Thank you for that. That was poetic and profound. Johnny sent another one that says, B Handler, I like you, but I hate your character in this reading.
She's so hateable, right? That was one of my favorite things. Like, I took like acting classes when I was a kid, and like I love when my acting teacher would give me the roles that like were not like me. It's a lot of fun to play, you know, wicked people, especially when you
doing
hate them.
a wonderful job. Just like all the rage and anger you have, just
very natural.
Well, I love that you prompted the Southern accent. I would not have come up with that on my own, but I think it fits her perfectly, don't you?
Oh, I do. Oh, Spirit Matter says that was Shakespeare. I don't recognize it as a Shakespeare. Which one was it from? Because I've read a lot of Shakespeare, but I didn't recognize it. Do anybody know the play? No, none of us know. It's not one that
I didn't recognize that as Shakespeare.
What was?
Well, now I'm going to have to Google it.
The saint, the person who presents as a saint.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary.
Yeah, no, that would be Poe.
Richard III. That's one that I actually haven't read, so that makes sense why I didn't recognize it.
And a horse, my kingdom for a horse.
It's not Taming of the Shrew, because I know every word of that one. It's not Taming
Richard
of the Shrew.
III's a great play. One of my favorites.
I can quote a lot of Taming of the Shrew. I was in that play, and I actually memorized the entire play. Totally. Wow. So
I may or may not have passed a bottle of wine on my way here.
What did you do? What is going on over there?
Wine sounds good. I don't have any wine in my house.
I have whiskey, and I've got bourbon here.
Well, it's only 11:57, so I passed lots of bottles of whiskey, but I also passed a wine bottle.
The only alcohol I have in my house is a bottle of pear vodka that will never be consumed.
Well, that sounds really good.
Really? Yeah, you can have it if you want it.
I could do a lot with that. Chandler, I'll tell you what I would do with a pear vodka. I would shake that with some apple cider and serve it straight up. That would be delicious. Pear and apple go really well together, and it make a nice fall drink. I'm a bartender on the weekends, so I know these things. Okay, Will Call Magic, thanks for the super chat, says, I'm writing my congressman to take away immunity from DHS. Been in this field before, and this is just wrong. I'm glad you brought this up, because I'm actually considering doing a stream one day, or maybe a series, where I do the same thing I did in Oklahoma, and we pick a state and we just start bombarding, me and you, the whole chat. We start bombarding them, and we call, and I call live on the air, and I call them, and I show you how to do it. And then we also send letters and faxes. They hate getting actual pieces of paper in their office. You can't do emails. You have to send faxes or actual paper letters, because then they get buried in paper, and they're like, holy shit, this is a real problem. Like, you know, and all it takes is like 40 people to do this. I swear to God, it's all it takes. Yeah. And all of a sudden they will hold a congressional hearing. They'll be on the floor, because they get very nervous that all of a sudden, somebody knows my name, and they're not happy that I'm not doing something. We changed Oklahoma law like this. I started it on this live stream, and we made them defund the University of Oklahoma for doing gender reassignment surgeries on kids. Good. We did that in a week just by calling. So believe me, it makes a difference if you can get enough people behind you to start saying, hey, here's a law to take away immunity from these people. Sponsor it. And if you don't sponsor it, I'm going to put all my efforts behind getting you removed.
there's all sorts of people who have immunity who shouldn't have it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
DHS
I
is
don't think
just
anybody
one.
should have it.
I don't either.
Right. Well, judges at the forefront, and their immunity is probably the most bulletproof of anybody's immunity. Look up Stump versus Sparkman, one of the worst
God, I know.
Supreme Court
The worst.
decisions ever.
Jeff, we need to read through that one day because people don't understand where this came from, and I really think we need to read that decision.
It's a simple. It's a simple kind of thing, and I mean, MG can probably talk to it. Just the title of the actual thing tells you kind of how shaky it is. It's qualified quasi-judicial immunity.
Judicial immunity is not qualified. It's pretty much in every single way they are immune from being held civilly responsible for any of their actions.
Yes, I mean,
other
basically
cops are qualified immunity.
Yeah.
So if a cop goes and beats you up and there's no reason, that's a reason to sue. But a judge, if he did the equivalent of that and he is wearing that robe or she,
I can't do anything
it's
about
in
that.
capacity. It's
And that's sort of the basic breakdown of the deal is the judge is appointing the social services people. So the social services people are acting as an extension of the judge. They're fulfilling the judicial role of overseeing the child where the court can't do it directly. So they're saying, okay, those people that are lawfully acting in their judicial role should enjoy the same shield as the person who appointed them.
right. And it all goes back to Stump versus Sparkman.
Yeah. Yep.
And all of this immunity is granted through that one awful decision. And by the way, and I say this all the time, never when a Supreme Court nominee comes in front of that Senate committee, and I get like 20 days of hearings, not one question about that U.S. Supreme Court case. You get 5 million questions about Roe v. Wade.
But not one about Stumpy Sparkman. Never, because they're
not
never
even one.
They're never going to admit that they made that choice to protect themselves and to protect each other. All right, everybody, whirl it back to your seat.
You're absolutely right.
Okay,
whirl it back to your seat. It's time.
Just one last day, if I can. The reason why that is because we also have this idea of I can't even speak English anymore. Respondeat superior, where the supervisor, the employer, is responsible for the actions of their employees or the people they appoint. So if you say, "Oh, this child welfare person is legally liable for damages," then so is the person that appointed them, which would be the judge.
They don't want that.
They'll never want to give them.
They'll never want that.
Yeah.
All right. What line did we leave off?
If it applies in that case, I don't know. David may say otherwise.
Was that line 9?
On 49 or 50? Okay, 49. Got it. Jeff, it's line 9 over here on 41. 49.
41.
49.
Okay.
Sorry, not 41. Don't listen to me.
I won't. What? All right. Let me just pause here. We just did that. We'll start a new topic.
I have a few other follow-up
questions
on that.
Just a moment.
I do too.
Ms. Salisbury has a couple of questions on this issue that we're on at the moment.
This woman needs to stop saying okay every 30 seconds when people are talking.
Who do you think is in charge of this courtroom? I am.
Okay.
See, that's that whole child care, the reflective listening stuff.
Everybody's talking to me. Everybody's asking me questions. I'm the most important person in this courtroom, obviously.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Now, you indicated that you're not a CRPS expert as to the second stage of CRPS, and that you're also
right here. Not a psychiatrist.
Oh, not a psychic, correct?
Not a psychic either, but a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, correct? Sorry, I skipped a page.
That's correct.
You're not a psychiatrist, correct?
That's correct.
And you're not a psychologist, correct?
That's correct.
And so your diagnosis is of conversion disorder, psychiatric disorder. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that she was seen by Dr. Mark Cavity or Cavett, a psychiatrist.
A real psychiatrist.
A real psychiatrist. Someone.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you well.
Oh, she does this every time.
Yeah, there was a psychiatrist. What psychiatrist at All Children's has seen her?
Is there a psychiatrist at All Children's? Is that what you asked?
No.
Yeah.
That's not what.
What
really.
psychiatrist at All Children's has seen her?
Well, as far as the psychiatrist, I believe at the beginning psychiatry saw her. The main person that is seeing her now is a psychologist.
Okay.
And they're doing the cognitive behavioral therapy. They're doing that once a week with her.
Okay, so you are aware that Dr. Mark Cavett saw her. Cavett, Cavitt.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are aware that he did not diagnose her with conversion disorder.
No, I was not aware of that.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, that's a part of her chart, doctor. And you can tell me this. You weren't aware that Maya suffered a sprain to her ankle doing gymnastics before the CRPS came on?
That was not. I do remember her being in gymnastics, but it was never really clearly stated in the chart. And they didn't. The way this was presented was more with abdominal pain and those types of
Jeebus.
things. With the weakness, but it was more like abdominal pain, but it wasn't very obvious.
Which presentation? I just have a question because you said the way this was presented. Are you talking about this recent admission or when this first started?
Actually, in the documentation with the ICU note, with the history and physical, where she first, started presenting, it was with some abdominal pain and some leg weakness, and then it sort of progressed from there. And I mean, because by the time that she was admitted this time, she had already been getting the infusion. She'd been getting the ketamine infusions.
So you really don't know when the sprain occurred in relation to the onset of her CRPS, correct?
The doggies are snoring.
I
just realized that the dogs are snoring.
It's like living next to the train tracks. I don't even hear it anymore.
Just got two bulldogs, Mike, that are so cute, and they snore.
They fell asleep.
Yeah.
So they're not that interested in this.
No, we're boring.
They're not
them.
interested in anything other than food.
Right.
Like
Sad
food
to
and
say,
sleep.
two thumbs down from the Bulldogs on it.
They are so cute.
Sorry.
Yoda and Strawberry are in Dreamland, yeah.
Yeah, they're dreaming right now. I was like, what is that noise?
I do like the
Yoda.
attorney asked the question that I was hoping someone would ask. So you're not a psychiatrist, and yet here you are diagnosing her with a psychiatric disorder.
And she doesn't even go, oh my God.
I don't know if the judge cares about that though.
No.
I mean, they had somebody see her, and that person did not diagnose her with the conversion disorder. So it's just this doctor's opinion, even though it's not her specialty.
Correct. This whole thing is just one opinion versus another, and it's just it comes down
hers
to
is an unsubstantiated. She has no background in this. So
well, she calls herself a hospitalist. That sounds fake to me. I mean, as a layperson, that just sounds like something made up.
Why is Dr. Smith's and Dr. Major's opinion more important than this guy Cavett and the doctor who was treating Maya?
The actual psychiatrists.
Right. Well, in that courtroom, it's extremely random.
And she's not even a good historian.
Right. This judge is going to take one opinion and treat that as gospel and then ignore every other opinion.
Well, they don't care about gospel. They threw Jesus in the dumpster.
Right, but this isn't. There's no facts. There's no facts here. Her opinion of conversion disorder is just opinion. All of it is.
It's not an educated one.
Right.
Like that's just your opinion, man.
Right.
Sally, thank you for sending me the Venmo tip. I forgot to turn on the banner, but you guys, if you don't want to send super chats because you don't want Google to get their hands on your money, their dirty, evil hands on your money, you can send it to Venmo. The address is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So is the Cash App. And Sally says, what does Sally say? Sally sent $10 on Venmo. And she says, thanks for bringing levity to a tragic situation. Well, there's nothing like a little dog snoring to get a chuckle. And Amy, too, sent a Venmo. Thank you so much, Amy. Amy said, Anderson should have hired this phenomenal crew to read the deposition that he and Whitney read in court. Thank you to all of you. Remember, because the jury was asking for actors with wigs. And
I remember that.
that was so great. The jury was like, next time you do that, could you guys wear wigs at least? Like, they really do need to make it a little more entertaining and get into the characters, because it's really hard to listen to lawyers read a transcript into the record. They really should hire actors to do this.
Yeah, I mean, the attorneys
And actors need the money.
Yeah.
The attorneys they just drone on. They have like such a monotone delivery with their questions, and it's really hard to want to pay attention to that. I heard that a member of the jury corrected the judge about one of his medical pronunciations.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
That was today. Actually, and you know what? Speaking of a moment of levity, let's quickly, I wanted to show you guys, because I didn't get to show, I don't think you've seen this, Jeff, but for those of you lawyers out there and lawyers in here, you guys are going to cringe so hard when I show you what happened to Mr. Hunter today in court. Did anybody actually see it? Any of you see it?
I can't watch it without somebody yelling at it.
Okay, well, here we go. Hold on a second. Wait, don't play yet. No. God, I hate it when this happens. All right, hold on. All right, I'm going to share this. All right, here we go.
Let's not carry our script right next to the jury and wave it to the jury as we walk by the jury, which I think I've been always saying.
I can truthfully tell the court that never crossed my mind.
That's fine. I just wanted to remind so we don't do that.
He is offended at the accusation. Look at that
Mr.
scowl.
Hunter, please don't look at me like that.
Hunter, please don't look at me like that.
I was gonna say, did he just say, "Don't look at me like that"?
Yeah, he was howling at the judge.
Wow. That was a "don't look at me" in that tone of voice, if I've ever heard it from the judge.
Wow.
So is he just walking by with the paper going, hello, jury?
The judge
don't
brings
look
that up
at me.
because Mr. Shapiro was accused of doing that, of holding up a paper and showing the jury something that was not going to be allowed in evidence.
Please don't look at me like that.
This guy looks like he's been a lawyer for a while. They're basically treating him like his first-year law student.
Wow. And here's the thing, is that I kind of felt bad for Hunter, and then I realized, wait a minute, stop feeling bad for him. He took Maya away from her family. But because, like, I can't even imagine, like, as a lawyer, getting that from a judge in court because you didn't control your face has got to be embarrassing enough. But then imagine that it's being streamed all over the world, and you just got spanked with the wooden spoon by Daddy Judge in front of everyone. Not to mention that he's about 30 to 40 years younger than the attorney he was scolding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yikes. Hurts.
Get
That
those
hurts.
double guns.
Stockdale disease. Us olds.
The olds.
Who am I? Why am I here?
Yeah.
Where have we left off? I don't remember.
What line were we on?
I will re-ask line 25.
All right, sounds good. Take
so
over.
You really don't know when the sprain occurred in relation to the onset of CRPS, correct?
I don't. I can't say offhand. Yeah, I can't give you that exact date.
Okay, and you are aware that the hospital is still billing under CRPS code for this child?
Yes, I do.
And you had a team meeting this past week, correct?
Yes, but I was not present. That was with another hospitalist.
Okay, and who would
That was a
be?
hospitalist.
That was Dr. Carroll.
Okay, and can you tell me when you have participated, how many team meetings you have participated in regarding this child?
Just the one.
And is there any reason why you didn't involve the parents if you were talking about a behavioral modification plan, so they could at least the father participate in the plan?
Are you asking if we were going to ask the parents?
No, ma'am. Let me repeat my question again for you.
Okay.
The one meeting that you participated in, is there any reason why you didn't include the parents in participating in the treatment meeting to talk about the behavior modification plan so that at minimum the father during his visits could participate in that behavior modification plan?
Oh my.
Well, I was under the impression at that time that neither one of them could actually see her.
Lies!
Okay.
That's a lie! Jack was never, ever prohibited from seeing her. That's a lie.
And so,
Sorry,
and I know that part of this was a discussion about, some of this was related to why we were, why she was in the hospital, why she was being sheltered. And so the parents were not invited to the team meeting. This was more about where were we at, how will we get it, what things can we implement, how can we get her to participate more. Those are things that could be discussed with the parents afterwards, but this was not something that we were going to necessarily have the parents be right in there at that time, but they weren't. My understanding is that they weren't allowed to come at that time anyway.
What efforts have you made to...
So...
What efforts have you made to reach out to the father to work with him on the behavioral plan?
I haven't. I haven't actually talked to either one of them because at that time I was taking care of her. They weren't allowed to visit.
It's a lie.
But you're taking care of her this week, aren't you?
Yes.
And you haven't made any efforts this week to reach out to the parents, have you?
I haven't just spoken to either one of them, no.
And do you have any intentions of reaching out to them to speak to them and involve them in the treatment plan?
I can. I wasn't specifically because of the whole court issue. I don't know what I can and cannot do.
It's bullshit. In the court order, lady. It's in the court order. Oh my God.
What is,
she probably hasn't read the court order. She hasn't read half the stuff in the file.
What?
I bet you she doesn't know shit, and she's going off of all of what Beanie says to her.
I think she knows everything. But
slander, libel.
Yeah. But what were you talking about in the team meeting then? She doesn't know if the parents are allowed to be involved. She doesn't know if the parents are allowed to see their child. What were you doing in the team meeting? That's a little important.
Yeah.
Wow. How is it that when something like this happens, it's like the entire hospital is full of people like this, totally scummy and slimy? How does that happen?
I don't know, but they're all getting sued again by Anderson. All of them. Dr. Majors is named in the new lawsuit. It's not new. It was filed in 2021. I just got my hands on it, but so it's not technically new. But these are the same doctors, and they're all being sued for the same shit. So this is look, when I started calling them the 7th floor coven, I was joking. But it appears to be real that like there's a witches coven on the 7th floor of JHACH, and they are conspiring. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too. I mean, they are.
Oh, I love you that you quoted that correctly.
Oh, what was it? Was it why? What?
Everybody always says, "And your little dog Toto too." That's not what she said.
She never says Toto.
Little dog.
Yeah. Mandela effect.
Yeah. I just love you for that. Sorry. I'm a weird Wizard of Oz.
Do people say Toto?
Yeah.
I've
never
heard
Toto.
It's not in the line.
That's Wizard of Oz for all you Gen Z and millennials who are too young to have any idea what reference that is.
Chad Morrill says, Megan, did you forget to tell everyone who is reading a doc that they have to dress like a witch? Hashtag 7th floor coven.
Ooh, I could get all Stevie Nicks. I could do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have some Stevie Nicks vibes. You got to do the platinum.
Totally.
Of it. Can I borrow your robe, Megan, the gold one?
Yeah, you need my gold robe, my graduation robe that I used for the, for Judge Penny Fox Karate. Oh, jeez, this.
I love.
I do have a wig over here, though.
It's fun.
A wig? You have a wig?
I do.
Really?
It's not mine. It's my wife's. It's like a long black hair.
Oh, I should have told you, MGLaw, that Hunter sounds like Dr. Phil. He sounds almost exactly like Dr. Phil. I don't know if you can do a Dr. Phil. But...
Dueling Southern accents.
Yeah, he does though. He sounds exactly like Dr. Phil. It's weird. He went home today after he got that spanking from the judge. By the way, he disappeared. He said he had back problems and he left and never came back. He is walking.
He's crying.
They say they don't believe that he has back pain.
He's crying.
Yeah, that's what everybody was saying. They're like, well, gee, I hope you get good pain medication and good doctors treat that pain you say you have. You know, like they really should think about this. You're fighting for the right for doctors to ignore your pain and to treat you like you are a liar. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. Like my son, this started with Maya, by the way, when she was 9 years old. I have a 9-year-old son right now. And while I know that he can exaggerate stuff, like, you know, he always likes mommy's attention when he falls down or whatever. And so he'll exaggerate and cry a little more for me. It's still not okay. It's never okay to be like, well, you're not in pain. You know, I mean, it's just not. It's just not. 9 years old, they're not manipulative, evil, possessed, you know, sick kids who will twist and manipulate. Like the way they describe her is like a Hollywood. It's like that.
Okay.
Remember that movie with Macaulay Culkin, or he's the evil kid?
The Good Son.
The Good Son.
Yes.
This is how they've described her. Like she's some kind of hell beast, born evil seed kid. This is not how children are.
If she really was a victim of Munchausen's. Well, Jeff, I want to hear what you have to say. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say she probably made an appearance on my HP Lovecraft reading stream yesterday.
Oh, I finally caught up with that, and I listened to the story that you picked for me in Fluxx. That was hilarious. I love that.
I loved
really
that.
well done. It was so good.
Emily, this is the kind of language the doctors use. Perhaps enmeshment with mom. You show me a kid who isn't enmeshed with his mom.
Yeah.
Or her mom. You show me a kid. Don't use that kind of psychobabble nonsense here on me. I love you, Emily, but it's just enmeshment it's a garbage psychological term that doctors want to use when they want to accuse you of something. Yes, Jeff, sorry.
I'm an old. What the fuck is enmeshment?
Is it like just an attachment?
It's codependence, sort of like when you. And here's the thing: this child is going through.
That's really weird for an 11-year-old and her mom.
Well, hey, Oedipus Rex loved his mother, so come on, guys.
Not that kind of love.
Just with a kid that's going through extreme pain, you know, she's extremely vulnerable and she's probably very scared. She doesn't know what's going on with her body. All of a sudden, she has all these health problems, tons of pain. Who is she going to lean on? Her mother, of course, and she's going to depend on her because her mother must take care of her.
Dr. Majors, she's going to lean on her because
she's going to lean on
me.
She's
going
to. Kathy Beatty said she would adopt her, so you know all her problems are solved.
Oh yeah.
There are times when I am so happy that I've spent the last nearly 35 years of my life living in a foreign country. Don't have to put up with this weirdness. Like I go back and I talk to people and they'll talk for 5 minutes using things like enmeshment and cisgender. I mean, and I just look at them when they finish talking and I said, Can you? I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Can you please repeat that in English for me?
You're a lawyer?
Yes, in Korea.
Yeah. But you don't think pursuant is a weird word? Or wherefore?
Or mens rea, for that matter.
Here and after mens rea. Yeah.
How could we have gotten mens rea?
Hey,
here and after, I'm very comfortable.
Oh, I am enjoying this scene.
Can we take a blood test?
Whirl it back to your seats. We have to continue. We're only on page 14.
Yeah. Third of the way through this.
We may finish by
Sunday.
Christmas?
Yeah.
By Christmas, maybe.
We'll finish at some point, folks.
It might have to be. We'll get to like page 22, and we may have to call it a night. All right, where are we at?
I think
for those of you keeping it home, we're halfway there.
We're not even
halfway to 22.
Oh, we're halfway to 22. So
I think we're on line 17.
Through this hearing. Oh my God! Will you all come back and do part 2? Is the question.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah,
tomorrow night. Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it tomorrow night, but we may have to make it during the week.
We're on line.
Depends on which day during
17.
the week, but let me know.
All right, I will. 17 on the left or the right.
On the left.
On the left. Yeah.
All right.
On the left. I think that's me, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Isn't it true that other patients, you involve their parents in treatment team meetings and involve them in their children's care?
Yes, at the time we do, if they can make it. Sometimes we have to do it without them, but if they can make it, yes.
So these parents have not had the opportunity to participate and work with the hospital to encourage Maya to participate in her treatment?
I can't answer that for everyone, but I think given the fact that this is in litigation, I'm not the one to make the call. And I'm more under the influence. I have to be very careful about what I can and cannot say. So, like, to say that I can freely call the parent, I just can't do that. I don't know what I can and cannot tell them.
Do you understand that when a child is in shelter phase, that the parents have the right to all information about her care and have the right to make decisions about her care?
That I did not know because I wasn't guided to discuss that with the parents.
Okay. And can you tell me if your risk management team participates in your treatment team meetings?
No, they weren't, at least at the last one I was at.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
May I, Judge?
Go ahead.
This is Miss Van Ness.
This is Miss Van Ness. That's my line.
Oh, sorry.
This is Miss Van Ness.
So, have you not been made aware that the dad has unsupervised visits?
Yes, I was.
So since you were...
Yeah, since...
Right. So then, since he has unsupervised visits, why haven't you tried to reach out to him then? Because you don't know if you're allowed to or not.
That's correct. I don't know what I'm allowed to actually divulge or not. I haven't actually seen the father anytime this week, so I would be more than happy to talk with him at the bedside, but I didn't know what I could and could not tell the parents.
Okay. And who would you seek that guidance from?
Well, one would be case management and the other would be risk management.
Okay. And since Maya appears to show some defiance...
Oh, you skipped.
Oh, I did?
19.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on 19. And have you made any efforts to reach out to educate yourself about what you can and can't do?
I haven't actually talked to risk management about that.
Okay. And since Maya appears to show some defiance, and you agree that part of it might be anger towards the hospital from being separated from her parents, do you not think that it might benefit for the parents to be involved in the treatment, whatever is recommended by the hospital, as far as the psychotherapy and the physical therapy, for the parents to be involved, and she might be more compliant?
I would say that, but I think that is a better question for a psychologist or a psychiatrist, just given the basis of what the concern is regarding this whole issue. I don't feel like I'm an expert on that as far as being yes or no to that specifically.
I feel like the Bobs from Office Space need to make an appearance right now and just ask, what would you say you do here?
Let's say, what is she an expert at then? Other than taking children, lying and taking children.
Expert in what?
I'm good with people. What is the matter with you people?
She's an expert when she needs to be.
Oh, God.
She diagnosed her with that defiance or what was conversion disorder.
But she's not an expert.
And she was pretty sure it's not CRPS. But
I spend a whole 15 minutes with her per day on a couple of days per week, so I think I would know a lot about the child. Yeah.
All right, and you're aware that the mother has not been able to see her child in 13 weeks, correct?
Yes, I knew it had been quite a long time. I just know she can Skype with her now.
And you're aware that most of the calls, until last week, had to be monitored by someone, correct?
Well, that I didn't know. I was told that they could be unsupervised.
Until this week. Until this week, they were supervised.
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with me that Maya has not shown any improvement, despite the fact that Mom has been removed pretty much from her presence for 13 weeks.
I wouldn't say that there was much of a change. No, I haven't taken care of her the whole time, but
certainly.
Objection, Your Honor.
Just a moment. Let me hear the objection.
Counsel is not letting the witness testify. She's interrupting the witness.
Let her finish her answers.
I'll ask her to do so. Go ahead and finish your answer.
I just can't say overall if this is, if she's gotten any worse. I mean, if anything, it's just more about not participating in things. But I can't say that she's gotten any better. I just think that the big part of this is that she needs more intensive therapy, and we can't offer that to her here.
And without her parents' participation, she's not participating more, is she?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Overruled on that specific thing. Because we're not doing anything acutely for. Wait, fuck me. I just ran down to the next sentence. Sorry about that. Overruled. I went down to the next page.
I don't know. I can't answer that. It's a combination of things. I just can't answer that truthfully. I'm sure, like I said before, part of her anger is related to being separated from her parents. But I do think some of it is more of a control issue, because we're taking control away from her. But also probably some of what's going on with this is hearing some of these things. I think that is defiance as well.
I guess what I'm trying to ask you, Doctor, is, since for the last 13 weeks, nothing has changed as far as Maya's participation with physical therapy. It wouldn't hurt to try and involve the parents in the physical therapy and psychotherapy to see if we see some improvement. That way, since you've been unsuccessful for the last 13 weeks, to do something different, which involves the parents, and maybe she might be more compliant, is what I'm asking.
Objection.
Yes.
To the form of the question.
If it's
overruled.
Regarding psychotherapy, yes, and I think it has to be supervised.
Okay, thank you.
Doctor, this is Judge Hayworth again.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned that intensive therapy is required. Are you saying those services are not available in all children's hospitals?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to do what's in the best interest of the child, and I think that what she needs, we just don't have the resources to do it. She needs physical therapy every day, but if you look at some of the programs that have 4 hours of physical therapy, we can't do that here. We can't provide that here. She needs daily cognitive behavioral therapy. We can't offer that. We just don't have the resources for it. We have the people. We just don't have enough of them to be able to offer that. And so that's why my opinion is that she does need something more intense, focused, on that specific thing, because we're not doing anything acutely for her here. And she needs the rehab, but on a more intense basis.
God, I'm sorry to derail this again, but I just got really pissed off there. You
Okay,
didn't notice.
tell me.
Scroll back up, please.
Mm-hmm.
To page 650, I guess. 50,
I think I know what you're going to complain
about.
50
what?
Yeah. Okay, down just a little bit to the full witness statement.
Right
she
there.
needs physical therapy every day. My next question to the judge would be, would you please explain why she needs physical therapy every day for a psychosomatic illness?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
She needs a combination of therapy for someone who their mother was putting all of these thoughts in her head and she really has nothing. And also she used, I'm trying to do what's in the best interest of the child, which is their buzzword. And they say that all the time because that's what governs how they're supposed to act, except that means whatever any one of them using it wants it to mean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Tara, I did miss your chat. I'm sorry. Here it is. The grants awarded for these programs, in my opinion, have quotas that need to be met, and Maya and her family fell into that web. It's all evil. R.I.P. Beata. Yeah,
I think that's probably very correct.
There's money
They were
involved.
looking for an extra person to fit into a box, 100%.
Yeah,
Pfizer, Bayer, all these people, they do not throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at hospitals for medical schools not to tell their tell their people not to prescribe Bayer and Pfizer.
Think about how two-faced Majors is. On the one hand, she's saying her mom is doing all of this to her. On the other hand, she's saying, look at all of these problems that she has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's
and no one is. I mean, I think the Kowalski lawyers are kind of putting it together, but you're not hammering them about that.
I know.
This
They're
is an
literally
untenable. It's an untenable position.
Someone with a psychosomatic illness is having 4 hours of physical therapy.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
That can't be a psychosomatic illness. It just
Exactly.
can't be.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is really upsetting. It's upsetting to think that her lawyers, I mean, I don't want to badmouth her lawyers, but why didn't they hammer this? And maybe they do later on. I haven't read this whole thing. So maybe they do start to ask those questions. But I think maybe the answer is that the judge is really hostile towards this family. And that comes out later. I mean, this is the judge who, in this hearing, I believe, refused Beata to hug her child. And then she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is this whole process with
It's like based off of what though?
I mean, it's not an excuse, it's not an explanation, but something. I mean, when you're handling these massive trials, and you know, MG knows way more than I do about this. When you're handling these big major things, you're looking at the forest, not the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Harping on one particular thing may sort of muddy the forest, to mix metaphors.
And to pathologize the family and the child, I mean, she's a vulnerable minor, and whether she, you know, let's say that the truth was that her mom told her that she was sick, and then she got a lot of anxiety, and she made up symptoms that manifested physically for her, she's still vulnerable and needs help with the symptoms that she's experiencing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the whole thing, it's very insulting of majors to say, well, these people believe that they are experiencing pain. I've dealt with, invisible illnesses before, and when you deal with pain, nobody can see it on the outside, but CRPS is extremely challenging, and for that child to go through that pain alone and to have the doctors insult her.
It's torture.
Hostile
It's
people
torture.
who treated her like she was a lying, demonic child is horrific. Cindy Absug says they refused to let me hug my son and tell him I loved him. It was almost unbearable. I remember
They'd had
that.
to arrest me. I would have been hugging my son and telling him I
I
love him.
remember that. I remember they told her at her supervised visit she was not allowed to tell him that she loved him because it upset him. And then she finds out later they were lying to her and telling her that he never said he missed her, that he never said he wanted to come home, and that he was very happy in his foster home. And then it comes out way down the line at another hearing that he had his little suitcase packed every week. Every week he was packing his little suitcase. Do I get to go home to see mommy now? Do I get to go back and live with mommy? Begging.
Oh my God. Cindy's that Cindy. Oh my God.
Yes. Cindy is
That's Cindy. Yeah.
living her life without her son because of what DCF in Colorado did to her. And she's been separated from her entire family. She's been separated from her entire family. She lost her daughter, her son, and her older sons too, because DCF convinced them that she had medically abused their brother. And it's horrific what they did. All she did was follow doctor's orders. If they really wanted to go after somebody, they should have gone after the doctors who ordered the EEGs that they called abusive, which is crazy because an EEG is not even invasive. So what, he had 7 EEGs. Big deal. It's like saying Maya it was abusive to put her in an oxygen chamber. It's just oxygen.
They did it in her case too. All the reports said, well, she asked for her dad. Well, she was happy when she talked to her dad.
Right, but not her
dad
mom.
did
Yeah.
this. Her dad, and they intentionally just washed any reference to mom out of it. If there would have been something negative about mom, that would have gone in the report. The absence of mom from the report tells you that she was talking about her mom and they were excluded. I'm sorry to derail that, but that
it's absolutely
four
right.
hours per day of physical therapy for a psychosomatic illness just kind of pissed me off. Just about that much.
This is so hard to go through, but it's so important.
And isn't this whole thing about whether or not Maya can even just appear at this court hearing?
Yeah, we're
so
still
what does any
not
of
there.
this have to do?
Yeah,
with whether she can appear and see the proceedings or not.
And denying her right to be there, I think, is egregious. I mean, it's very hard to play the role of this horrible doctor. But
you're
I'm
doing
really
such a great job of it.
You're just a horrible person.
You're making us hate you. You're making us hate you.
I'm getting
It's
Yeah.
great.
I'm getting
You're gonna be one
emotional
of those
about it.
actors like Negan is a really horrible person. I hope you die, Mr.
You act really well as a really evil person.
Thank
It's
you.
natural. That's what I'm saying.
It's
I'm
very
leaning into it.
Anthony Hopkins like.
I appreciate that. I mean, I love being like the Depp Herd players. It's been really fun to do that.
You're kind of like Nurse Ratched.
I'm weirdly, I don't want to say I'm enjoying it, but it's like, I've been trying to watch the trial here and there. I've been occupied with other stuff, and the more that I read this, the more emotionally invested and involved I get in the case, and it's just making this impact on me that, I want to do justice to how horrific her treatment is. So I hope I'm
Everybody
there.
likes to play the villain.
And I just want to add Hopkins. That's Silence of the Lambs for all you millennials, and Nurse Ratched, One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest for the 70s. For all you Gen Z millennials who
the
may be
Netflix
going,
series, the backstory of Ratchet was good too.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked
then
that.
They probably know it. Then they probably know.
All right. Well, I
liked
don't know if you
Ratchet.
guys saw this. I have been trying to bring a little levity to this case because it's been tough to watch because of these very issues that Chandler just brought up. But if you've been tuning into my coverage, you're going to find that like Sally Smith built herself a Fort Brooks.
Oh my
She
God.
built herself a Fort Brooks with her binders. I don't know if you saw that. And of course, the thumbnails have been particularly fun.
Oh wow, that's great.
Somebody in my locals chat actually made this. In fact, speaking of locals, I never opened it up to look at the chat. God, who knows what's going on in there? Because the locals chat is crazy over my locals, meganfox.locals.com. If you want some hilarious memes like this one of Dr. Malik yesterday as Jafar, we have been having the biggest blast on locals, and you can post memes and stuff on the locals chat, and it's just hilarious. In fact, I'm going to go in there right now. I'm sorry, guys, that I haven't been in there. I forgot because my computer was acting up, and I don't like to have a lot of stuff open. Oh God, they're memeing it up like crazy already. Of course they are. So if you want to join over there, use promo code Maya right now for a discount, and it'll get you into the live chat where you can share memes like these hilarious ones that they've made for me. I like this one, the Munchie Bunch. And if you're wondering what the duck is doing there, we have a little saying that we have come up with during this trial, and that is, Your Honor, permission to bring in the duck. That's a Monty Python reference for a witch trial. If they weigh the same as a duck, they must be made of wood because wood floats, and so they are a witch, and we're going to light them on fire. And it's appropriate in this case. We call it the duck scale of justice. And we have a lot of fun things going on. Tough diagnosis, mind read your way to an answer. That's Bonnie Rice, probably. And
she made me so mad. I was watching her at the DMV, and I was like, this lady, I cannot with her.
I know. I know.
I'm
But,
sorry, I
you
don't
know,
have better commentary.
There are
I'm
other
sorry to derail
places.
this
There are
so
other places. There are other places that continually scold the chat and tell the chat we're not going to make personal comments or jokes. This is very serious.
Megan.
Yes, Jeff.
Both sides are entitled to give their opinions on the matter, and we have to treat them with respect. When you're talking about the prosecution, the complainant side, then we have to look at it from their side of view. But when you're talking about the defense, you have to look.
Even if the devil himself is on the defense.
Other lesser channels may be judgmental and do things like that, but we don't do that here, Megan.
And look, everybody has the right to run their channel how they want. I just want my chat to know that I appreciate your degeneracy and your memes and your ridicule. And I personally believe in ridiculing bad people who do bad things. You know why?
Yeah.
It keeps us from waging war. So it's one of two things. You can either embrace the ridicule and defame bad people in a legal way using your free speech by degrading them like we do here by making memes and laughing, or it boils over and you have civil war.
Megan,
I think you're doing your patriotic duty to speak out. I think that this is your American right. This is the most American thing that you can do, to speak out against the system, because we clearly have a medical industrial complex that is kidnapping children from their families.
That phrase.
Medical industrial complex.
And it needs to be talked about. And I love your outrage, and I think that it's important because, the average person is like the 13th juror. People who come in and watch this case, they might not know a lot about the legal aspects, but they can feel how wrong this is to do this to a family and how horrific and unjust it is. And so I think that you give an excellent voice to the outrage there. And I'm happy that Cindy is here, and I'm so sorry for what has happened to her family, but I appreciate that we get to hear her story. I hope we get to help her out.
I've seen a few surveys.
I don't know what just happened there. Are you guys back?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
We never left. We never left.
Me.
We never left.
Just you. You're frozen.
You're frozen.
You may have taken a magic mushroom.
You are
though.
not alone.
All right. What is happening?
All right. Should we
we're
go back
back.
to this?
We're back.
We never left.
We never left. We never left.
It was
Megan.
just me. That was really weird. That was different than the last time. Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to add, I've seen surveys and anywhere between 33 and 40% of children will interact with CPS. So this is not somebody else's problem. Your child is very likely. Interact obviously can mean any number of things, but your child has a 1 in 3 to 2 in 5 chance of interacting in some way with CPS. So don't think this is somebody else's problem.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I suggest that all parents have a lawyer on call. Retain a lawyer for your children if they're school age, and it's not a lot of money. Get a
Homeschool
lawyer
your kids.
or homeschool, but also, I mean, my kids went to Catholic school. I still have a lawyer programmed into their cell phones.
No, I'm just kidding.
I have a lawyer programmed in their cell phones, and the school is on notice that they're not allowed to be interrogated by any member of the state, whether it's a police officer, CPS agent, without the presence of their attorney. And you'd be amazed at how quickly the schools change their tune when you present them with a letter from a lawyer for your children. She's not my lawyer; she's my children's lawyer. So they actually have to mark it in the record. Big red flag. If anyone comes to talk to these kids, you have to call this lawyer. Mm-hmm. And that's how you protect your kids. And if you have children and you care about them, pay the $250 or the $300 or whatever it is to get a lawyer to write you a letter like that, and then pay them if you need them. That you've got to be proactive. You may never need it, and thank God you don't. And then you'll feel good though that you protected yourself. All right. I'd need to tell Squid Pro Crow in the chat. If you're having a problem on locals, I'm giving you the email for support@locals.com. If the promo code didn't work for you, just email them, tell them that, and ask them to fix it for you, and I'm sure they will. Because the promo code Maya, all caps, should be working to get you that free month. And if it isn't, just email them. What line are we on, folks?
We're on page 16. Scroll down.
61.
Oh, yeah,
4.
61.
Redirect.
I apologize for causing a 15-minute delay of game penalty.
It's all right. Penalty.
You get derailed. It's
Get
like
in the box.
my streams. We just get derailed. Just
What
come
line
on.
are we on?
box.
Get in
Get in the
box,
fucking
Laura.
box.
What's in the box? Laura's in the
Areas that you-
box.
And I've just given into sympathetic accent syndrome.
Okay, line
No,
number.
it's fine. I like
That's
it.
a real thing.
Line
Just
number
ask the
4.
witness.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
Jeff, you're on line
sympathetic-
number 4.
I know. Sympathetic accent syndrome is a real thing. Just
Yeah.
ask this witness; she'll tell you.
Mhm.
The areas you're suggesting that the hospital does not have the ability to treat effectively relate to the daily physical therapy and to the daily behavioral cognitive therapy.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that's a good segue to the next subject. Mrs. Silverstein, going to ask you some questions now on a new topic.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Major, what is your recommendation for an appropriate treatment facility for Maya?
Okay. My recommendation would actually be to do an inpatient program, something fairly intense. There are programs out there that are usually 4 to 6 weeks in intensity that will give daily physical therapy, some occupational therapy. It can be sort of alternate, occupational therapy with biofeedback. That needs to be done on a daily basis and intense. Like, I would think some of the programs can do 4 or 5 hours a day. And then doing
Jesus.
cognitive things, I think that's what she would benefit the most from, because right now but it's minimal. She definitely needs to work on reconditioning and all of that. So that would be my recommendation.
And is there a particular facility that you would recommend would be in this child's best interest for her treatment?
All that phrase.
Again, real quick, what does any of this have to do with her testifying or
With
being
her
at the
being
court
there.
proceeding
No,
this
the judge
day?
is just-
What?
The judge is just ignoring it. He's already decided she's not coming, and he hasn't said it, and he hasn't. She's not coming to this hearing. They're not going.
Because the judge has had a third of a bottle of port wine so far on an empty morning stomach. He's busy.
It's
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we have discussed this. We have discussed this. I've done some research myself, but one that has a very good program for this is Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh my
They have an
God.
intense inpatient treatment program there. And then one that's not actually associated with Johns Hopkins, but it's right next to Johns Hopkins is Baltimore. Or no, in Baltimore, it's called Kennedy Krieger Institute.
And doctor, excuse me, you're cutting out. Your voice is cutting out.
Okay.
I don't know if you can move somewhere else in the room to get better reception.
Let me see. I'm sorry. It's a cell phone, so it's not like the best. Hospital. Are you hearing a bit better?
It's still distorted a little bit.
Okay. Would it be better if could you call me on a landline? I have to have a phone in this room.
Your Honor?
You have a number.
Yes, I do. It's you got
Nobody call this number.
767-183-7.
Oh, let's not
do not call. No,
do not call
do
that
this.
number.
No,
Oh my
disavow. All right, we'll terminate this call and re-engage with that new number that we are going to forget about.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Sound of telephone call being placed. It's not the same thing, but we'll just have to do with it.
Hi, this is Dr. Major. Hi, this is Dr. Major.
All right,
Judge.
We're back on. I'm talking. We've got you loud and clear here. Go ahead, Mr. Silverstein.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Major, you mentioned that there's a facility in Cincinnati.
Yes.
And you were cutting out a little bit. What is the name of that facility?
It's called Kennedy Krieger, and it's...
I'm sorry, doctor. I said in Cincinnati.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Silly me. And they have a fairly intensive inpatient program that specifically offers PT, OT, and cognitive behavioral therapy, so psychotherapy support.
And would Maya receive that on a frequent basis, as you've recommended?
Yes, It looks as if the program runs, it's intense. It's from 4 to 6 weeks.
And then you mentioned that there's some other facilities that you researched.
Yes. So another one is called Kennedy Krieger, which I mentioned. I don't know if you heard me say that. I'm cutting out. And it's in Baltimore. It's very close to Johns Hopkins. And they specialize more with conversion disorder as well. So when we have other programs that tend to shy away from this, they tend to take those patients. And then there are two other programs. Boston Children's Hospital actually has both an intensive outpatient and then there's an inpatient program, and so does Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
And do those hospitals have similar programs? That was not part of the
as Cincinnati Children's.
As the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, to your knowledge.
Yes, it looks like it. And from what I could see was that a lot of those patients that go to these centers do have an entering diagnosis of chronic regional pain syndrome. A lot of those patients have that diagnosis.
Okay, nothing further.
Ms. Van Ness, you're here. Go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you. Doctor, what makes you think that Maya would comply with any of the therapy there when she's further removed from her now home state, her sibling, and her family?
My personal opinion is mostly because it's a cognitive behavioral therapy. I've looked at her sessions, just reading the notes from the psychologist, and she seems to be very receptive to it. And even when she's having like a bad day.
I'm going to object. That's hearsay.
She goes to talk to her. They discuss some they discuss some different things. Her demeanor changes. She's happier.
It's hearsay.
Hold on a moment.
I was speaking.
Here's my objection. It's hearsay. We don't have these notes. In everything I scanned in an hour and a half yesterday, nobody gave us the notes that she's talking about. So I can't even impeach her on it because it's hearsay. They're the only ones that have the psychotherapy notes. So we would like to get those notes from All Children's Hospital from Dr. Kazenstein because we can't even respond to this.
Well, Mr. Hunter, do you know if there are notes that have not been provided yet?
Judge, I wasn't aware of whether the short answer is no. I don't know that, but I can certainly find out and then do what I can to make them available.
It sounds like
Well, the objection will be overruled. But I do want the hospital. We're trying to get a complete set of records to the attorneys, and apparently, with what Ms. Salisbury's stake has seen,
was Miss Salisbury's steak.
Big mistake.
Huge. There's not been a part of the package that's been provided to DCF. Is that right?
That's correct.
Court.
Okay.
I suspect, Judge, that the source of the problem is that psychological records are separately filed in these situations from medical records because they are getting a higher level of sequestration, if you will.
Sequestration? I enjoy horses too. All right.
I'll certainly, if the court please, I can step out and call Miss now.
Go ahead and do that.
All right.
In the meantime, we'll continue on with this. Go ahead, Ms. Van Ness.
You testified a minute ago that some of the children enter with a CRPS diagnosis, but you're basically basing this on a conversion disorder diagnosis, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that intensive 4 and 5 hour physical therapy, as you were suggesting, could cause more damage with a chronic CRPS diagnosis and cause more damage to the nerves?
I don't know specifically about CRPS. I just know for acute physical therapy is the mainstay for the therapy for that, more than anything else. So my thought is that if the patients are coming in with diagnoses of that into these programs, there has to be some validity to doing this for these patients, or they wouldn't take those patients.
But you're doubting Maya's CRPS diagnosis.
That is correct.
And the therapy that you're recommending is for conversion disorder, not for CRPS.
That's correct. So,
and if you're wrong...
Objection, Your Honor.
Hold on. Finish your answer, please.
I think...
Finish your fucking answer, please.
She said yes.
Well, what I was trying to say was that a lot of these patients may come in with that diagnosis, but that may not ultimately be what is the ultimate diagnosis, that this is actually really conversion disorder. They just come in with that diagnosis.
Oh my God, the judge didn't even rule on that objection.
Yeah, he just ignored it.
Holy shit.
He's just like, just finish your answer, please.
There's been a couple of times where he's just...
Yeah, he doesn't rule. He just says finish the answer. I understand.
Well, I guess that's the ruling.
Yeah, that's the ruling. I understand what you're saying, doctor, but what I'm saying is that I am specifically talking about Maya. And if you are mistaken, your recommendation of this intensive 4-hour-a-day therapy could cause more damage.
Well, I don't give a shit about that. I think what would happen is that they would evaluate the patient before they decided to do that. And I think that they would actually tailor the program to Maya to determine what she could and could not tolerate. Now, that diagnosis is a diagnosis of exclusion anyway, but they would evaluate her before they decided how intensive they would make that.
Well, and you would agree with me, that even the doctors at All Children's Hospital are at odds as to what the proper diagnosis for Maya is.
And to some extent, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Salisbury, any questions?
Yeah. How many of these treatment facilities have you actually contacted and had conversations with?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Excuse me? Repeat that.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Knock it off, lady. You're on the right phone.
Question.
I have a bad connection.
No, seriously, it's like every time there's a question that
Every
makes her
time.
look like she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and
Can't
she isn't
hear
doing
it.
something.
I have bad cell service.
She
What do you
loses
want
her
from me?
Bad
hearing.
connection.
Bad cell
on
connection on the landline.
I'm deaf in one ear, and I'm putting the phone to that ear, obviously. That's not my fault.
Oh my God.
Which one of these treatment facilities have you actually contacted and had conversations with anybody there?
I haven't actually contacted these. These were recommendations. I know the psychologists have recommended specifically Cincinnati Children's, but these are conversations that we would have with the treatment center. It's a couple of different things that we have to find out, just speaking with their insurance company, discussing some different things with that, but we actually haven't done shit. But
so she hasn't.
Hold on. Go ahead, Doug.
Oh my god.
Well, I asked her how many of these has she contacted.
That's right. Now let her finish her answer.
That answer was like 8 pages long.
Just let her finish it, Megan.
So obfuscating. Just let me keep obfuscating. These are fairly new things that we've discussed, and so naturally, of course, tried to see if we could find places in Florida for her, so they did not accept her. So now this is why we're going to these facilities. So we are first having case management going to contact them to see, because they actually usually ask for a lot of different things. First, to review those records before they decide if they will take the patient or not.
So my question is, none of these facilities have agreed to take her. Is that correct?
That is correct. She's defiant. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants her.
Oh my god.
And you said that these facilities admit patients with CRPS. What percentage of each facility's patients are admitted with CRPS diagnoses?
I don't actually know that offhand. It just said a good majority of them are.
Oh my god.
It says that on the website, a good majority of patients have CRPS.
Nice question, Salisbury. Nice question.
It said something like several of them, but yes, it is on the website.
Several is
majority now.
Vast majority.
And what does it say on the website?
It's something to the effect that several of the cases admitted have a diagnosis of a CRPS.
So now we're down to several from a vast majority. We're now down to several, and now next she'll be like, well,
if
a
there's
few.
6 people and 5 of them have the diagnosis, then yes, but
trust me, bro. Just trust me.
Okay. But you don't know from the website whether these patients that they're admitting with CRPS have clearly CRPS or have had it over a year and in Maya's condition, do you?
I don't know that.
And you're not an expert on CRPS, so you don't know anything about treating somebody in Maya's condition when she's been down this path for quite a while with that diagnosis.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I was an expert on it.
Okay. And Dr. Kazenstein is not available to testify today to what her thoughts are?
I don't know that. I just that information wasn't given to me.
damn, I wish we had Dr. Katz so someone could do a John Lovett's Dr. Katz impression. All right, anything further?
Just
hold on, Mr. Zimmerman has a question. Go ahead, sir.
Dr. Major, is there any reason why this child couldn't be treated on an outpatient basis at an appropriate, rehabilitation treatment facility?
I think that it's possible. I would require a significant amount of commitment to going in and out because it would be every single day. I think my biggest concern is that I'm just worried that she really can't ambulate. And so that's why I was thinking that she would benefit more from an inpatient therapy as opposed to the outpatient.
But if she were... I'm sorry. I did not try to cut you off. Go ahead.
So rude. That's okay. No, that's fine. I'm done.
So if she were, for instance, in one of these circumstances where she lived in, like a Ronald McDonald house that was near or adjacent to such an outpatient facility and was able to be brought back and forth, let's just say by wheelchair or car, is that something that could potentially also work?
It could potentially work, yeah. It would require a big commitment, though.
A big commitment by the facility or by the child or by the parent? Whose commitment?
Yes.
Are you talking about?
Yes, both. Both, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Doctor, this is Judge Hayworth.
Uh-huh.
Is the hospital looking into possible placement at either Cincinnati Children's Hospital or Kennedy Krieger?
Yes, we are. There were some of our recommendations. And so, yes, the case managers are getting ready to contact these facilities. A lot of the times, they want to look at the record and potentially ask for a few other things for us to do before they decide on that case. But yes, we are pursuing that.
Now, when a child completes treatment, the 5 to 6 weeks in one of these programs. Shut up and stop interrupting me. Then what is the typical discharge plan?
Oh my God, well in Missouri.
I say, then what is the typical discharge plan?
There may be some continued physical therapy needed, but not on a, not in nearly intensive basis. And they're probably, needing to do some still like cognitive behavioral therapy, but it may need to be pursued with a physician that specializes in pain management or in conversion disorders.
Pain management? What?
Why
For
would they
what?
need that?
If it's a psychosomatic
Psychosomatic illness that she's doing the 5 hours of physical therapy with. You're not following along here, are you, Megan?
I thought, what?
It makes perfect sense, Megan. I don't know why you're not following.
So they're admitting that she is in pain and that she is ill.
Yeah,
but also saying it's her fault and she's creating it herself.
Y'all have to remember that
there's no reason.
They're blaming the child for her pain, basically.
And that was Foghorn Leghorn for all you blind.
Now, you have to remember, Megan Fox is only medium smart, so she's not really following along with all this psychosomatic physical therapy stuff.
Jeff, you sound like the country chicken lawyer from Futurama.
That's also based on
coming in
Foghorn
clutch
Leghorn.
with Foghorn Leghorn.
I love it. I love it. So good. I love that I'm having like a sympathetic accent effect on people.
You are, like everybody on the panel at this point. So, and how long would you
anticipate? Well, to be fair, Mr.
Yes,
Hunter, though, really does sound like Dr. Phil. Like, it's weird, but he does. And then Mr. Whitney sounds like that football player. I think he's from Ohio. It's some very famous football player, but you know me, I can't name famous people. It doesn't matter. Eli Manning? Is it him? Anyway.
But how long?
All right, continue. Whirl it back. Let's go.
I'm trying. How long would you anticipate it would
He's
take
trying,
the
Your Honor.
hospital to find out if Wait, I am the honor, bitch. How long would you anticipate it would take the hospital to find out if a transfer to either of these facilities in Baltimore would be accomplished?
I would say probably within a couple of weeks we would be able to get that done and tie up any loose ends. Sometimes they require, for example, evaluation, like psychology evaluation, a specific type of evaluation to determine certain criteria, those types of things, before they'll accept them. And sometimes that may take up to a couple of weeks.
And how is that typically resolved as far as the financial side of it?
And what do you mean specifically?
Who pays for the treatment in Cincinnati or Baltimore?
Well, so we have actually talked to the insurance company, and they've been very amenable, and so they said if we could tell them which facility we would like to send her to, which we've already discussed a few of these with them, they would actually look into it, see what the policy is, and being able to pay for it. They've actually been very amenable to working with us with her.
Okay, one question that's kind of off the wall here, and for what we're talking about, but do you know what scrambler therapy is?
What?
Scrambler?
Scrambler. SCRAMBLER.
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right. But do you know of any facility in Florida that would be able to provide these services that has not already been approached?
Not that I know of, and I know we've asked quite a few, so at least at this point there is nobody that will pay for it that we feel like would be a good program to benefit her.
All right. That's all I had on the topic. What was that?
Well, that is like some kind of I just looked it up. Scrambler therapy is some kind of neurotherapy. So again, treating a brain disorder.
They just can't figure it out. They don't know what's going on with her.
They don't know what's going on. Just like her parents. They don't know what's going on with her. So immediately a good judge would be like, you know what? Obviously none of us know what's going on, so give her back to her parents.
No, the strategy is blame the parents, blame the child.
Doggies scrambling rawhide.
Oh my God.
We got to get the Blues Brothers on.
Yes. Oh my God. Jeff and I watched Blues Brothers. That was so. I had never seen it before, and we watched it together. It was great. we did it on a StreamYard. It was really fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I loved it.
Three more pages to go.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's finish it up. All right.
Mr. Silverstein.
No, the courts needs to ask me.
Oh, the
first.
court. Yes.
Yeah.
Where are we? I'm confused.
Right there, 22.
Line 22.
22.
Oh, what?
Right here.
Which
Right there.
22?
Right there. The purple highlighter.
Well, I don't
That's
see a purple
20.
highlighter.
Look at the StreamYard
22.
screen.
StreamYard
I
screen. That's
am.
your...
There's no purple highlighter there.
What?
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there
now
is.
there's not. Now there is.
Line
Oh, sorry. I was looking at
22.
the YouTube feed. Okay, there we go. All right, got it.
There's a delay on YouTube. You have to look at StreamYard.
Right. I got you. Line 22. Sorry. Do you have a follow-up?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Thank you. From that standpoint.
Oh, here, over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
77.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Doctor, you were asked by some of the other attorneys regarding your expertise in CRPS. Do you remember being asked those questions?
Yes.
And have you treated children with CRPS?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
What the?
I have not actually ever treated a patient given that diagnosis. I've just treated patients with what was considered chronic regional pain. Or, I'm sorry, regional pain syndrome, but more of an acute setting, and I have taken care of at least 3 or 4 of those, and all pretty much presented the same way and have done quite well with physical therapy.
Okay, and just to clarify, what's the difference between CRPS and children that you've treated?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the rest of his question. CRPS and what?
What's the difference between CRPS and the children that you've treated? I don't understand the difference in diagnosis.
Well, I think what they were discussing was patients who have supposedly had the pain syndrome for a long period of time, because most of those end up in a pain management program. I've taken care of patients that have sustained trauma literally a week prior, come in, have color changes, pains, pins and needles, those type of things. And then we get usually rheumatology involved. They give the diagnosis, and then we do physical therapy, and they do quite well.
And then, doctor, as far as if these hospitals out of state will not accept Maya, what is your recommendation for where she should go?
I mean, I think we would at least need to do some sort of outpatient program to try and see if we could get her some kind of help. It would need to be more intensive, but I would definitely think she would at least need that.
Has the treatment team made any recommendations regarding any medical foster care placement?
Not specifically. She's definitely stable enough to go to medical foster care until she would be able to go to one of those inpatient facilities. So, you know, from that standpoint, I don't find that there would be any issue with her being able to go to medical foster care.
And what is medical foster care?
Well, it would require somebody to have knowledge about her pain condition and to be able to administer her
Nobody
medications.
has that.
And then take her to, if she's still getting physical therapy, those types of things, to take her to her physical therapy, her occupational therapy, her cognitive behavioral therapy, those types of things. She doesn't have any direct medical needs as far as the, you know, she doesn't have a trach or anything like that, but she does have a port.
Oh my God.
That's the other thing. So it would have to be somebody who would know how to access that, or at least take them to where they would need to have it flushed.
Is the port being utilized in the hospital?
No, it's not.
I'm sorry?
No, it is not.
And why isn't it?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Right now, there's no need for it. She has been on TPN prior. She's no longer on transparenteral nutrition, so she's not needing it for that. And then she had been getting her ketamine infusions in the past through that, but she's not been getting her ketamine infusions, and that would most likely not be what she'd be getting at these centers either, at the inpatient centers.
So what is the reason why the hospital has kept the port?
Objection.
Objection, relevancy.
Relevancy.
I'm scared. I've totally lost my place.
You're gonna say the obvious.
Just say the obvious.
The overruled.
There it is.
Oh, there we are. I found my place.
You know the answer.
Because I don't know that he sustained a single objection yet.
He hasn't.
No. What was understood was that when I spoke to one of the previous hospitalists who was taking care of her, we felt that there was no need for her port. So it was first discussed with the parents. They did not want to have it removed. So from what I understood, that there actually was a request to the court to have it removed.
Objection, hearsay.
Because I think the court would have to.
Objection, hearsay, speculative.
Overruled. Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh.
Say whatever you want.
Can you see my shit-eating grin? Just that the court would have to grant the ability to remove it because the parents don't want it removed.
So, as far as the discharge from all children, are you recommending that this child be discharged with the port to another facility?
Not necessarily, and I think that's something we would discuss with the facility that accepts her. If they don't feel like she needs it, then it should be removed.
Why?
Because it's a source for infection.
No, it's not.
You have you have a foreign body in a vessel. It's always a possible source for infection. I am a doctor. I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Van Ness.
And that's especially if it doesn't get flushed, right?
Well, that's more for clots, but just in general, usually it's more of an access, but there's a piece of object there, so it's always a propensity for infection.
Are you aware that if Maya needs, her blood drawn or any other kind of prick by a needle, that can exacerbate her pain and have a flare-up of the CRPS?
Yes, it's possible, but you can get the same thing from the port. You still have to go through the skin.
No.
The port's already implanted in her, so you don't have to break the skin again.
Well, usually you do. You have to go through the skin unless it's accessed.
Right. So you don't know the reason the parents want the port left in is so that if Maya needs to have her skin pricked for some reason, they don't have to possibly cause a flare-up?
I did not know that specifically. I thought it was more related to her IgG infusions and her ketamine infusions.
Okay. Are you familiar with Magnolia Park in Gainesville?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
All right. Are you familiar with the University of Florida Child Psychiatry Center in Spring Hill Health Center in Gainesville?
I do know a little bit about it because we work with them some with eating disorders.
Okay. Are you familiar with Waterworks Total Rehabilitation?
No, I'm not.
Okay, and because you don't specialize in CRPS or its therapy, that might be why you don't know about Scrambler, correct?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Florida Hospital Celebration Health in Kissimmee?
I do know of that hospital, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Doctor, again, this is Judge Hayworth. You think that cognitive behavioral therapy is an important component of her rehabilitation plan?
Uh-huh.
Would it make any difference in the way that's approached at the diagnosis of CRPS versus factitious disorder? Or would she be basically receiving the same type of cognitive behavioral therapy regardless of the diagnosis?
I do think it would be a little bit different. Sometimes the cognitive behavioral therapy is tailored to pain syndrome. If we're looking in the context of CRPS, it would be more based on biofeedback, those types of things, to help with pain. If it's a true psychiatric disorder, like a factitious disorder, for example, then the approach may be a little bit different. Maybe cognitive reasoning on how you would approach something. Why are you doing this? What's the real root reason? Those types of things. So it would be tailored a little bit different. But I do believe that these pain centers, intensive inpatient centers, they kind of have all these different types of diagnoses, so they approach it based on how they have evaluated the patient initially.
Okay, doctor, if you would, as you reach some understanding or agreement from the out-of-state facilities to accept her, would you let your law firm know, that the lawyers know, so they can report it to the attorneys here?
Yes, I sure can.
Will that be part of something that the treatment team addresses?
Hmm.
Will address.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Great.
Somebody's going to be in the driver's seat trying to get that connected, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Do you know who that person is?
I don't know offhand, but I can definitely touch base with both risk and case management.
All right, Mr. Hunter thinks he might have something to contribute.
Judge, I can't give you a name off the top of my head, but I can tell you that our clinical case managers and social work folks would be the ones that would coordinate the approach to doing that if the court believes that's the thing to do. What we're kind of waiting to see here is if that's agreeable to the parties or to be ordered by the court. then we will work as quickly as we can to connect the dots and make it happen.
Well, as I understand it, that movement is underway. She said she's already started the contacts, or the hospital has.
We've contacted the hospital to determine A, if they could take the patient, and B, if they have the facilities and the treatment protocols there to deal with her.
All right.
But we haven't gone farther than that and been more specific.
All right. So anybody have any other questions for Dr. Major before we terminate this call?
No, Your Honor.
I hear no other offers. So, Dr. Major, I want to thank you for taking your time. You can get back to your rounds. We appreciate your patience with us here.
Sure. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we're signing off. We'll take about a 10-minute break.
All right. Well, I guess this is the perfect time then to stop this and do part 2 next time.
All right. So I'm to understand that behavioral cognitive therapy only changes slightly if it's CRPS as opposed to factitious disorder. So if it's actually the disorder they think it is, her behavioral therapy is only going to change slightly.
Yes.
From factitious disorder, which means she doesn't actually have anything, but she thinks she does. But the behavioral therapy will only change slightly.
And they won't be giving her any pain medication. She'll get no pain relief, no anesthetics.
Do they actually want to help this kid at all?
It's Keystone
And the
Cops.
reason
It's
why
amazing.
she couldn't, so the thing is that Maya testified that physical therapy always helped her, but she wasn't able to do it without pain management because the pain would be too intense, and so she wouldn't be able to do the exercises. So once they got and her physical therapist testified to that very thing. She said Maya worked really hard, but we had to get her pain under control first, or she wouldn't be able to. She wouldn't be able to do the exercises. Once she got some pain relief, then she started getting stronger. Then she was getting out of her wheelchair. She was starting to be able to do some exercises. And then Johns Hopkins came along, and it took her twice as long because they took her away from all of that.
This is not some backwoods hospital. You would think it's Johns Hopkins, and I love how at the end the lawyer named like 3 hospitals in the area. You don't know anything about those.
Nope.
You know one in Baltimore and one in Cincinnati. So you can't move her
by her family.
Right.
Yeah. No, because they wanted to take her away from her parents. They wanted to take her away from her support system for whatever evil reasons they had, whether it was just so that they could be right, or they could keep her in the system and keep the money. The other thing I wanted to mention, when they talked about therapeutic or medical foster care, that medical foster care is a scam. It's a scandal. It's a racket. You are given more money to be a medical foster care facility or group or family. And that's what they're looking for. They love taking kids who have rare medical disorders because they get more money from the state to take care of them. But when there've been all kinds of investigations into these places, and they're horrible. They're full of abuse and neglect. And our foster care system is an absolute nightmare. 60% of kids found in sex trafficking were foster care kids. 60%. Those are our own State Department numbers. So whatever's happening in foster care is not helpful to our kids, but it is a billion-dollar industry. There is money flowing to these facilities. There's money flowing to the different DCF offices. And I want to know, and what we haven't heard in this trial, is how much money was JHACH paying Dr. Sally Smith, who was also double dipping in her paycheck from DCF, because you know that she wasn't working at JHACH for nothing.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Nope.
They had to be paying her something to be their child abuse consult. And that hasn't come up in this case.
I wonder if when they have complex cases like this, see, the problem that I see, and maybe I'm totally wrong about this, is they might be dragging out her treatment so that they can, continuously kind of siphon money
The insurance.
off, insurance.
They're billing the insurance.
They could do better. Like they could relieve
and they're
her
billing
pain.
for CRPS.
They could help her, but they're dragging it out. I mean, I wonder about that because, you know, I have a disorder where, like, my neurologist took maybe 2 years before she recommended me to a pain specialist. I had to personally ask her about an obvious migraine medication that she should have brought up. It took me, you know, more than a year. And I just wonder sometimes whether these doctors know that there's a better treatment that could help you, but they want to keep billing your insurance and drag out your recovery.
Well, some of them.
It sounds insidious, and maybe I'm being too tinfoil hat about this, but
No.
We'll
it's
see.
plenty of that.
And
Plenty of doctors
unfortunately,
who follow the money.
unfortunately for me, I'm not too far from Baltimore, so like almost every doctor around here is a John Hopkins doctor. It is so hard to find a not John Hopkins facility.
And
around here.
Boston Johns Hopkins is under fire too, because they just had a big scandal over there with a doctor who's been accused of bullying on behalf of his doctor wife, who may have removed someone's bladder unnecessarily.
What? I'm sorry?
Oh yeah,
Excuse me?
it was in the New York Post a couple days ago. We read it on my channel.
And I think Majors also mentioned Boston Children's Hospital, and that's where Justine
Pelletier. Yep. Yeah, no, it's really bad. All right, guys, here's my plan. I got to get through some super chats and Venmos and stuff. You're welcome to stay while I do that, or if you need to take off, you can. Before you take off, please let everybody know where they can find you and what you're up to.
Okay, who goes first?
Jeff,
I'm not
are you
going
leaving
anywhere.
or- You're staying.
Never.
Okay, good. Does anybody need to go? Or
I need to go.
Okay, tell them about your Substack and where to find you, Mike.
michaelvolpe.substack.com. I got a lot of good stuff on there. Check out an article where I took on a scumbag lawyer, Holly Jelani. She threatened to sue me, and she's a probate lawyer, so I knew that was completely bogus. So I made a funny post about that. So check that out. And something that you would be interested in, but this was about a month ago. I interviewed an 18-year-old named Tori Nielsen who went through reunification therapy, which is
done a lot of reporting on that. Yep.
very much like MGLaw type therapy, but she
my.
described it, and it's more of a horror show than you can imagine.
Yeah, it's bad.
And she actually interacted with Dr. Randy Rand, who is the most notorious of the reunification
I
therapists.
can't believe that guy still is allowed to practice. He lost his license in California,
Right.
and he's still allowed to do this. Reunification therapy, for those of you who don't know, this is something family court does to children who are saying they don't want a relationship with one of their parents for whatever reason, whether it could be
They
abuse.
throw them into this thing and then force the relationship. Should also note, out of California, they passed Peaky's law, which bans reunification therapy. So in some states, they are pushing it. Other states like California, they are stopping it. Peaky was a girl who died because they forced her to live with her father who killed her. Susan Rubio, who is a Democrat, she spearheaded getting that law passed, and Gavin Newsom did sign it.
Good. Well, thank you for being here, Mike. I appreciate you. Thanks for your excellent reading of Mr. Silverstein. And I'll get back to you guys. I'll let you know when we do it again.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. You too.
Bye.
All right. So I got to get to some of these chats that I missed on Rumble. Johnny Reb 84 says this is gold.
And
Family
Megan,
court.
may I interrupt for just a quick second? Say, people, if you want to throw all of your money at Megan, now is your last chance to do it.
Yes.
Do it now. Get it. This is your last chance to throw money at her today.
Don't make her mom shame you.
This is true.
Dollar bills, y'all.
true.
Make it rain. Make it rain.
Make it rain.
Save her from the pole.
No, you should save all of you from me on the poll.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Rub 84 says this is gold. Family courts should be videotaped and broadcast with names changed for the world to see, for people like you and people like those rich men north of Richmond want total control. Yeah, I've always said that we need cameras in courtrooms, especially family court. Johnny Rab 84 also said, B Handler, you nailed the condescending lawyer very well with a Texas accent flair. Nick like the soup says, Megan, let's start with finishing the petition to remove Sally Smith on change.org. Jeff, I poured both based on that. Thanks. Okay, so here's what I think about petitions on change.org. They're absolutely fucking worthless.
They're
Like,
worthless.
they're absolutely fucking worthless. Let me tell you where your energy would be better spent. If you really care about Sally Smith and what she did, then what you need to do is get on the horn to the governor's office in Florida. That's Governor Ron DeSantis, and ask him to do a state investigation into DCF in Florida and into every child abuse doctor. They need to be investigated by the state and not the state health and human services, but he needs to call in, I think, maybe the marshals or the some kind of state. Does he have like an oversight? I don't know. Who are the police, like an outside police force that could investigate DCF? We need somebody outside.
I think typically that would be the FBI, but
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can't
think we trust them.
trust anything federal.
Right.
No.
That's why I think U.S. Marshals, though, because the U.S. Marshals have a really good reputation as far as child protection. They have like a really good, I have actually spoken to some of them who are doing this sex trafficking rescues. And I feel like maybe they're not as corrupt yet as other federal. I don't know. It's a whole shit show. But trust me, change.org isn't going to do anything for you. It's nothing. Nothing. But you do need to get on the horn to the governor's office and ask him why he hasn't investigated Dr. Sally Smith. Why isn't she in handcuffs? Why isn't she in criminal court? What she has done, according to the Supreme Court, when you sever the ties unfairly between parent and child, it is akin to a death sentence. That's what she has done. And she's done it over and over and over again. Why hasn't she been investigated? Why isn't she under the harsh light of an interrogation room? And that's what you should be doing.
Making you talk.
Yeah, exactly. Teresa, thank you for sending the Cash App. Teresa says, none of these doctors seem to consider chronic pain. I don't even think that it seems like they don't even believe that chronic pain exists.
No.
Well, she's a conversion
Well, it exists
person.
sometimes.
Just sometimes.
Sometimes.
But not other times. And you better be what's the word? Convincing when you tell a doctor.
And you
that
better
have
never
pain.
smile.
Yeah. Right. Never smile. Never take a picture for Instagram either, because that'll be used against you in court as well.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. All right. So some highlights from court today that I remembered that I wanted to tell you about. There was this ridiculous argument before the witness came up to talk about insurance. And Mr. Hunter and Miss Cruel, I know that's not her name. I never know how to say it properly, but I'm just calling her Miss Cruel now. Mr. Hunter and yes, Cruella DeVille. They spent all this time arguing about this particular prescription coming in, and they made the judge so mad that at one point he goes, "I'm just ready to say I'm not going to let anything in," and she immediately sat down in her chair like, "Oh shit, I went too far." And he said, "You can either have this one or you can have that one, this prescription or that document, and not both." So they pick one after making this was like an hour exercise that they did, making the judge hate them. And they put this guy on the stand, like some pharmacist, and they get nothing out of him. It was like an entire, if I'm the judge at this point, I am ready to strangle the defense team. They just spent an hour of my life arguing about a piece of paper that showed absolutely nothing. Nothing. They got nothing out of that guy. It was just so bizarre. So that was one of the big highlights for me. And then, of course, I already showed you Hunter and his big moment with the judge, where the judge told him, "Please, Mr. Hunter, don't look at me like that," which was pretty hilarious. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I actually do have to. Oh, I was just gonna say I'm actually gonna dip out right now because it's about 12:30 and I'm
You're way past your bedtime.
I normally go to bed by 9 every night.
Thank you for being here. I'm gonna get out of here soon too. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody that wanted to say something, and I haven't been able to pay much attention to the chat tonight. Sorry about that, guys. Cynthia sent a super chat for you, Jeff. Fine, Jeff, for Chandler's accent. It was hilarious.
All right, guys. Well, you have it was really fun tonight. I'm excited for the next one.
I'll
So
let you guys know.
definitely-
We'll all get to. We're in the chat together on Twitter, so
Yeah.
you guys let me know what times are best for you. I'm actually thinking that next week. I don't think I can do a Sunday stream. I think I need a night off. So maybe maybe Monday. Maybe Monday before I do trial coverage. I don't know. Tuesday. I don't know. You guys will have to let me know.
All right, guys, be excellent to each other. Have a great weekend. Love you guys.
Good night, Fluxx.
See you,
Love you,
Fluxx.
Fluxx.
I'll tell you what.
There were four.
And then there were four. MGLaw, tell me what's going on with you. Have you been watching this trial?
I've been in your chat a couple of times, but it's so infuriating that, and a lot of times I'm busy with work. It's too depressing, and so I'm just like I can't, and I just can't do it. I was saying a couple of times here and there I've been in and listened to it and watched it some, but it's
that's
hard.
that's why we have memes like this though, because it is depressing. But then we always have Miss Cruella to cheer us up, or this guy, the hospital administrator that made the how to know your dog got caught in a sex scandal face. So did one of their other witnesses. This was their expert. The guy with the gray hair was the expert who got caught not knowing anything about the case. And then one of my locals chat made this for me to stamp on photos of people, which I really like. I should check on the locals chat and see how they're doing, because they've been memeing all night and I haven't shown any of those yet. They're asking for the dog cam, Jeff.
I'm sorry, can't do that on somebody else.
You can't do that on somebody else's stream, unfortunately, or I would totally have him do it. But I can't. Yeah. Oh, someone made a self-portrait of you in my local stream. Would you like to see it?
Really, yeah, that's not really a self-portrait.
I mean, a portrait of you. Sorry, it's just a portrait. It's late, okay? This is funny. This is absolutely hilarious. Oh wait, I've got to delete something. Darn it! All right, I'll delete Fort Sally and add Jeff. Okay. The law racks. This is funny. Oh no, look at this one. My God. Oh, this one's really good. Damn it, locals. Here, I'm just gonna share the screen. It's easier that way, so I don't have to upload stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God, this is funny. The 7th floor coven. You guys crack me up in there so much. You guys really, if you're not following me on meganfox.locals.com, it's so worth it. It's so worth it for the memes and stuff. The memes are so funny. I don't know what that means. What's gawk?
Bagawk?
Oh, bagawk! Dog cam revoked. Oh, remember, JHACH, when the verdict comes in, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes the reason is you're stupid and make bad decisions.
Oh, that's one of my favorite sayings. I love that.
Uh-huh.
It's so good.
I know. I love this 7th floor duck, though.
That's perfect.
This one.
Who made that? That's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Locals is a good time. meganfox.locals.com. You guys got to get over there. It's hilarious. Sarah Dawn says, it's 5:33 a.m. in Liverpool, UK, and I stayed up especially to watch you all. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you to all. P.S. Jeff, will you marry me?
Send all inquiries to thelegalvices@gmail.com.
That's a good answer. It's a good answer. Snivels, thanks for the duck emojis. That's just never going to go away. Send, Your Honor, permission to bring in the duck. Jeff, how much of this trial have you been able to? I know you've been hanging out in my chat for a while. You've been watching some of it. I saw you over on Recovery. I saw you cheating on me over there. I saw you.
I'd give about 20% ish.
Well, it's this. I think this case is going to really make a difference if it goes the right way. If it goes the wrong way, and JHACH gets away with this, I think it's going to be hell. I think it's going to set a precedent, and it's going to be even harder to sue these people and hold people accountable. And I'm just hoping that doesn't happen.
Well, there are always appeals, Megan, and it could end up.
Yeah, but appeals are for losers.
That's true.
Appeals are for losers. But if it goes to the Supreme Court, we could actually get maybe something good out of it. At some point.
Theoretically, one would hope. It's a very emotional case. I mean, I've been really trying to follow it, and I loved your coverage of it. It's just so hard to watch because as somebody who's gone through a lot of medical treatment, I really feel for the family and for Maya, and understanding what it's like to have an invisible pain syndrome and have people not really understand. It's like I'm not the only one. Obviously, there are lots of people out there, but I'm so proud of her for being able to be in court to overcome this, considering all that she's been through and all that has been taken from her. I think she's a remarkable young woman, and I really hope that there's a good outcome in this case. It's emotional. It's very, I feel very overwhelmed by the way that the system has totally taken over the nuclear family and is taking place.
The power. They've taken over the authority that used to belong to parents. And now you're scared to even take your kid to the doctor.
Yeah, so it's going to make people not take their kids to the doctor.
You can't trust anybody. It's awful.
Okay, so I've been covering this case in Pennsylvania, where over 70 families have been accused by one child abuse doctor of child abuse. 70 families in the same goddamn hospital. And they're all standing up now and coming out and saying, this is what you did to me. And you gave me PTSD, and now every time there's a knock on the door, we think it's the police, and our hearts race, and we have panic attacks. Family after family after family, same thing. This has to be a breaking point. We have to have a breaking point in this country where we put some common sense laws in place that protect you when you're Miranda laws. When you're arrested for a crime, you get a right to a lawyer. You get a right to remain silent. You get notified that you're under attack, right, by the government. When you're investigated by people like Sally Smith, you don't even know she's in your medical files. She's in there before you even know that anyone is suspecting you of anything. How can the government come in and investigate your private medical records without giving you notice?
Yeah.
Even, or a warrant? Why shouldn't they have a warrant to do that? That's a seizure. Isn't that a seizure of my medical records? What she did? Anyone? Lawyers?
Yeah. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
I have two lawyers here. You couldn't taking possession of a person's medical records with no warrant, nothing.
Well, if she's authorized,
she's authorized by.
Authorized by who? Who gives her?
The judge.
No, she didn't have a judge's order, Jeff. She accessed the Kowalski's records with no call from DCF, with no legal authority. She accessed those with her JHACH credentials for the purpose of investigating them for a crime. Now, isn't that an unlawful seizure?
Well, I mean, there wasn't in their possession, but
but they belong to them. Technically, you would need their permission or a court order, I would think, to access them. They're private medical records. Are you saying you think that the government can access your private medical records for no reason, with no authority at any time?
Well, they did. And unless somebody does something, unless she's held accountable and is charged.
So this is what I'm asking. Is there a federal lawsuit?
An abuse of authority situation or something?
Is there a federal lawsuit against Sally Smith for an unwarranted seizure?
Is that considered a HIPAA violation? I mean,
I would think so. She didn't have permission to go get those records.
I think you need to share the screen that I just put up.
Oh, okay. Sweet Tea's Treasures, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome to the Fox Den. And here comes the screen. What is this?
Oh, wow.
What am I even looking at? Is this AI?
You're looking at a coven of ducks.
A coven. The coven.
It's the 7th floor coven.
But wait,
Did
that,
you
that's
make
only
that an AI?
That's only one
just
of them.
now. That's only the third. That's only the third best. This one is the second best.
You guys have come up with the best memes tonight. I'm really thoroughly enjoying the memes. They're so good. Wow.
That's only the second best.
Oh man, that is
Oh, yeah?
disturbing. Let me see the best one.
This is my fave.
Did you just make this on AI?
Yes.
Oh
just
my
now.
god, that is terrifying. Oh my god, that is perfect.
I'll send them to you if you want.
Yes,
so
please do. Oh my god, it's the 7th floor coven. Somebody just said, Porcelain said, is that Nick? Speaking of Nick, I think he's streaming.
He is streaming, yeah.
I'm gonna dump you guys into Nick's stream when we end this. That'll be funny. He keeps ignoring me about this case. I want him to get interested in it because I know that he'd be able to rant about this for days. But he's too interested in some gay shit with some comic book writer, and I can't get him off of it.
Yeah.
Nobody can. It's impossible.
Well, he was kind of dragged into it, and
Oh no, they were
stop
talking
digging.
about Nicholas Starov, because he was like the bearded Gandalf.
I wasn't sure which Nick we were talking about.
Nick
I thought we were talking
Staroff,
about
the NIK. Is
Oh, I
Nick
thought we were talking
Staroff.
about Ricada because of the nose. That was funny.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Jeff,
But
what,
it makes more sense that it would be Staroff.
which AI do you use to make those? Because that's hilarious.
Mid-Journey.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
I want to try that. All right, I'm tired. It's time for bed.
I just typed in a coven of duck witches in a hospital. That's what it gave.
That's pretty genius. I'm impressed.
The chat likes it. The chat likes it a lot. How's Locals doing? Are they making any more memes over there? I got one today. Let's see if I can find it. So I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I don't know where I put it. Oh no! Oh no! I've got the spinning circle of death. Oh
We
no! I know you don't.
Everybody, quick, super chat Megan so she can get a new computer.
Damn it. Now I have to shut my computer down to shut the show down, or I can't shut it down. I'll be back. Take over the show. 3 minutes.
Hey.
Oh.
Hello, fellow mice. We're in charge of the cheese.
Yeah. Oh.
So what should we do to get her demonetized this time?
Yeah, it would be how many times now?
We all have nothing to talk about, apparently.
I wanted to just ask you guys what your favorite cheese is because you mentioned cheese.
Oh, I love them all. All cheeses are good
Yes.
cheese.
All
I
cheeses?
believe in cheeses. Hey, hallelujah.
Even see, I know a lot of people who don't like blue cheese. Do you like blue cheese?
Lame.
Yeah,
I love blue cheese.
It's
You love
all right.
it?
Yeah.
Lame.
Yeah. It's
The
good
people
on
who are
certain
like,
things.
They're like, it's mold. I won't eat the. Yeah, it's very tasty.
Well,
I
what do
mean,
you
it's-
think cheese is?
What do you
Cheese is,
think-
is
you think
milk
the
that's
hell
halfway
cheese
to
is?
mold.
Right? Exactly. I always love the rind on the brie. I think that those people are just pathetic.
Oh, see, like the brie and camembert, you're supposed to eat the rind.
Camembert.
Exactly. The rind is the tastiest part.
Yum, yum, yum.
I love it.
Yep.
Couldn't agree
Actually,
more.
got some camembert at Aldi the other day.
What a friend we have in cheeses.
Yep.
Exactly.
Did somebody say that already?
I think so. I said I believe in cheeses.
You believe?
Similar but different. I wonder if she's going to actually go back and watch this, or if she's watching us now.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to go back and watch Jeff's HP Lovecraft stream from earlier today. How many stories did you tell? It was very good. I loved it.
9, I think.
9. Yeah, it was one of the best. I just love like the spooky Halloween vibes. I was listening to that when I was getting ready because I said I would come this morning and then I fell asleep really, really late. And when I woke up, I was like, oh shit. And I wanted to hear because you had a special story that you were reading for me in Fluxx. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'd never heard that story before. It's quite good.
Oh, there she is.
I'm back. I really hate this computer. I don't know what is wrong with it.
We didn't do nothing.
Didn't do nothing.
We talked about cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese.
and Lovecraft.
I just have to figure out how to dump you all into Ricada's stream and then we can leave.
Okay.
Oh, what's Ricada streaming
go
about?
into your
I don't know. I
studio.
know how to do it. I just have to
Okay.
get it. I just have to pull it up on because I have it. I have
And-
hardly any windows open so that my computer won't do what it just did,
Yeah.
but it didn't save me.
You have to be authorized by him to dump into him too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I went to do that the other night, and it's like
Oh,
you
I'm
have to
probably not
contact him.
then.
I was like,
So,
oh well, I'm. he
screw
barely
him
knows who
then.
I am,
I don't
so.
know. I was gonna, but I don't know if I can. Let's see. We'll see if I'm authorized. We'll see if Nick really likes me or not.
Yeah, it's like you need to reach out to the creator, and I was like, oh well.
Oh well, screw that.
So I redirected to Memecopium and then forgot to tell the chat. I was like, it was like 10 minutes after. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell the chat. Redirected.
I feel like I was able to do it the other night, so maybe yeah, it looks like I can.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks
Ooh,
like
aren't you special?
He likes me. He really likes me. Nick is talking about his adventures in lateness and gayness also probably.
Yeah, has to be.
All right. Well, since it is nighttime and we've gone really late, I get to play my late night outgoing, my new outro for late night. So that's fun. This is nice and nice and snoozy. So, all right, guys, it's time to go. Thank you so much. Anybody got anything they wanna grift or promote?
I've been doing a rewatch of the Travis Rudolph trial. When I get a chance late at night until the stream gets derailed by just off-topic shit, and it happens every time. Just go wild tangents, and usually after about 30 or 40 minutes, I just turned the trial stream off. I was like, okay, we're not going to get back on track. So
awesome. Well, that sounds fun. How about you, Chandler?
Well, I'm just kind of recalibrating my life a little bit right now, so I haven't been streaming as much, but I'm really excited because when it hits November, I started participating in Pearly Thing's new project, which is called the Audacity Network, and I actually hosted one of the panels yesterday, and it was really great. I loved it. That should be coming out in November, so just keep an eye out for that. I'm going to start streaming more on my channel in the coming weeks, but I've just kind of been focused on life stuff. So look forward to some stuff for me about debunking myths about male and female dynamics in terms of the Duluth model. And I might also have Saif Khan on my channel, who is suing Yale for $110 million for false allegations.
Nice. How about you, Jeff? What's going on with you?
Nothing.
Well, we're doing a final depth reading that I will not miss this time.
Yes. So Monday's Maritime Monday. We're going to be talking about cannibal rat ghost ships and possibly reading a Stephen King story about a doctor who was shipwrecked on a little outcropping of rock in the middle of the ocean. Tuesday is Halloween. Don't have any idea what I'm going to be doing for that. There's been threats of having me do more Lovecraft reading. May just do that for Halloween. Wednesday is Sidebar Day.
Wednesday is Sidebar Day. Okay. Sounds good. All right, everybody. Take care. Thank you guys for being here so much, for giving up 4 hours of your time for this.
Thanks, Megan.
I appreciate that. And I hope we'll... and I hope to do it again soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.